2. Hello and welcome to Dash 28 Live. I'm your host, Mike Atkins, and today we're going to be bringing you the top table match from the 4th round of the Cult Arms Universal Battle Kings of War tournament between Stephen Devenish and Tom Ennis. They're going to be playing Push at 2,300 points. Joining me here in the broadcast booth, we have Taz Stacy, Alex Chavez, and Ashley Smashley Mowat. And let's just jump right in with the lists. We're going to bring up Stephen's Salamanders first. All right, Stephen, walk us through your list, please.
All right, so we've got Lord McCut's Menagerie. I'll just run through the list. 2 troops of Ancients, 2 hordes of Tyrants. Both have the Effigy of Fire. One has the Boots of Striding, and then the other has the Elite ability. Then we've got Rhinosaur Cavalry, 3 regiments, so kind of used as a screen, but they're pretty tough. I saw the game yesterday where Butchers were used really well. So these guys fill a similar role to that, slightly different. One of them just has the Healing Brew to use up a few extra points, and the Horde has, at the base there, has Pathfinder. Got a Greater Fire Elemental just to do some defensive flank duties. And onto the next page, we've got one of my favorite units, a mounted battle captain with the Crystal Pendant of Retribution. So this is a personal favorite of mine. He's great at disrupting units and just generally getting in the way until he dies, and then he causes even more pain. Got a battle captain on Rhinosaur, who is inspiring, and to finish it off, Clan Lord on Drake with Sharpness, as that is definitely the best item to take on him, in my opinion.
Nice. All right. And now over to Tom's Abyssal Dwarves.
Okay. So this is kind of like a little theme list I put together. Most of it's themed around the word, the Hellforge keyword. It just so happens that mortars, golems, hexcasters, and ironcasters are all Hellforge. So I started playing this list for the first couple rounds, and honestly, I don't really enjoy playing it too much, but I figured I might as well play what brought me here. So it starts off with just 2 regiments of Black Souls. They're basically just there to screen the Decimators, and they have Throwing Mastiffs to give them a little bit extra threat range, a little bit extra shooting. Got 2 troops of Gargoyles. I've had dogs before, but just started to try out the Gargoyles this time. Horde of Decimators with Elite, because that's the best item by far for them. They're pretty nasty. 2 Golems, not much to say. 3 Mortars, not much to say. 2 Hexcasters, both swapping the weakness, because obviously you do that every time. And one of them has an Inspiring Talisman, because the Ironcaster only inspires Hellforged, which the Dwarves are not, and the Dragon is going to be flying off on its own. The Ironcaster has Conjurer's Staff. It replaces the Fireball with Surge, and it has a little bit of a heal for any of the Hellforged units. Then you have an Overmaster. The Abyssal Dwarf Dragon has Mead of Madness for that little bit extra charge. Other dragons, which might come useful here. And then Basusu the Vile, which I haven't seen too many people run. This is my first time running him. I was playing with Double Dragon before, so I made it a little bit softer and got Basusu. So that's my list.
All right, great. And now we're going to pop over and check out your Universal Battle room that you have set up. Okay, so how'd you guys pick this terrain? Is this just one of the Epic Dwarf maps?
This is map number 20.
Map number 20. Okay, great.
Yep.
Okay, great. And what heights are you playing the different pieces of terrain at?
It's pretty simple. The buildings are 9, the forests are 9, so none of our dragons can get on the hill and see over them. The hills are 3. obstacles too, and then we're just playing the pond and the swamp is flat. So if you're half in, you get covered.
Okay. Pretty standard. Cool. So then, and Tom, you are deployed on the top half of the screen. So could you walk us through your deployment starting over here on the left?
Sure. So the gargoyles are just kind of out there by themselves. It was one of my earlier drops, and I didn't know where his dragon was going, so I just placed it in a spot where it was covering a 20-inch move up the flank. So that's over there. And then kind of in the middle are the typical formation that I play with this list, which is 2 Black Souls in front, the Decimators right behind them, and the 2 Hexcasters in between, so that Inspiring is over by the Dwarves. And then behind them are the 3 Mortars, which kind of deploy behind the infantry because the Golems are height 4, so they block line of sight to a lot of stuff. So I have pretty good line of sight here. Then the Golems are just to the side, with the Ironcaster in the middle. And then I kind of counter deployed his dragon with my dragon, just in a spot where it's threatening that area where he could go up over the forest and land. And then the gargoyles, I skipped over them, but they're just kind of there to either come support the golems or the dragon. So that's my deployment.
Awesome. And Stephen, would you mind walking us through your deployment starting over here on your left?
Sure. So we've got the captain on Rhinosaur with Inspiring. He's hoping to skip that forest and come around. We've got the Greater Fire Elemental, who's, again, that defensive flank. This is placed him a bit earlier in the game when we weren't sure where other things were going. Got 3 regiments of Rhinosaurs covering the front. The middle one has the healing potion. The Rhinosaur Horde has got the Pathfinder, so they'll be coming up behind. And then the middle Horde of Tyrants has Elite and Fire Effigy. And the other one has the Boots, as well as the Fire Effigy as well. And then just behind them are the 2 Ancient Troops. The first on the left has 2 loot tokens. And then right over on the right, we've got the Dragon, who was deployed on a clear flank when he went there, but then Tom had more units to deploy than I did, so he decided to put his dragon down there to try and stop him from doing any shenanigans.
All right, great. And we are playing push here with 2 tokens each, and you guys are using these red markers for your tokens, it looks like?
Yes.
Cool. And so Tom, you put both of yours on the Decimators.
Yep.
And Stephen, you put both of yours on the central ancient troop.
Yes.
Yep. And then the one in the middle is just the one in the middle.
That's free game.
All right, great. Well, thanks so much for walking us through that, guys. You can go start your game at your leisure now. Good luck to both of you. We'll be watching. And you guys are up to scout moves, or are there no scout moves?
No scouts in either army, I believe.
All right, so you guys will just go back and roll for turn 1 and then get started. So have fun, and we'll see you back here when you're done playing. Good luck to both of you.
Good luck.
Thanks,
Sarah.
guys.
Thanks.
Don't choke.
Don't choke.
Dirt. Don't
Yeah.
choke on dirt, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so so this is interesting.
Yes.
So
Here we
Taz,
are.
what do you think of the deployments here?
Look, so this map is an interesting one with the 2 impassable buildings sort of cutting off for this sort of map where you're trying to, it's the mix of invade, obviously, where you're really trying to get in your opponent's half of the board. So the board width is decreased down to not even 4 foot, which makes things interesting, really, because you can't really avoid those big arcs of fire from his cannons. So you're just walking straight into the teeth of his cannons. Although I suspect that Stephen thought that was going to happen anyway, because again, the fight, this fight is all about that center token. So yeah, I did wonder when I was watching the deployment earlier, I did wonder if he wasn't going to put the tokens on the gargoyles that were way out on the flank there. But because Stephen put that battle captain on a Rhinosaur, sort of putting over that way. But I thought that might have been a cheeky way to to not even have to worry about your tokens. To have them so far out there. But anyway, so in terms of the deployment, look, Tom's looks pretty straightforward. Mortars at the back, Decimators screened by his Black Souls, and then his Golems and his Dragon sort of out protecting a flank. I think Stevens is the one that's sort of interesting in this case, because very clearly what he's trying to do, he's got his 3 big hammers of his Rhinosaur Horde and his 2 hordes of Tyrants. And normally with Salamanders, you'd expect to screen them with either like Primes or Unblooded or something like that, or Ember Sprites, right? Like they're your typical sort of screeny chaffy units in the Salamanders, but the Tyrants are higher than those units, and the Mortars can just target them straight away. So he's put these height 4 screen across everything. So really the only targets for shooting will be those dash 15 Rhinosaurs. So I don't know, it'll be interesting. Oh, looks like Tom's won first turn.
Yeah. Tom, we going
Tom's,
first?
so Tom's doing some of his movement now. See, I also feel like there's this aspect with this push scenario too, where because of how the points work, there is an aspect of if you can just keep your stuff alive that carries the tokens and maybe kill theirs or take the center, you can win as well. Like you don't have to get across the center. Obviously, that is the main objective.
Yeah.
But like we saw yesterday in some of the games, like you just couldn't, like some people couldn't get theirs across, and there was still a chance that they would win, just by being able to focus their everything everywhere else. But I do really like the chaff up front, the dash 15. I think that might constitute as some thick chaff. Anything that when you can have your chaff be fearless and not be wavering in front of you is a great option.
Yeah. No, I'm at the point where using waverable chaff feels like such a risk.
Yeah. So Alex, if you're Tom, you've got your opponent outshot, and you get first turn for a push scenario. How aggressive do you even try to be here? Do you basically just move up a little and then open fire, or like do you really want to get up and try to push towards that middle token?
Yeah, so if I was Tom, I'd be pushing up pretty heavily. Honestly, getting first turn is a pretty big deal, obviously, in this sort of situation. I would say Tom being first here has potential to do a lot of damage, and you really want to engage the army like around that midpoint of the battlefield, right? You're outsped, you got faster movement, so if you give your opponent time to kind of push up, you want to restrict how far you can really go up. So those elementals should be slamming forward as fast as possible. Really everything should go on as fast as possible. You can always back up later, right? You can always move backwards. But you want to make sure that you're controlling your opponent, that you're not fighting on your half of the table, because even if Tom wins the kill game here, right, the name of the game is the scenario, right? So if you win kill but you end up with your tokens in your half and he's got his tokens over, or he grabs one in the middle, any combination of things could be a big scenario win for Steven. So it really depends.
That hill will also be really important if
Yes.
Steven manages to get charges off the hill, because that extra Thunderous against his Def 6 units
Absolutely
will be really important. And so again, this is why getting first turn for Tom was so helpful, because if Steven had gotten first turn, he might have been able to get a bunch of stuff up on that hill.
And the hill is height 3, and both these guys have several units that are height 4. Like all the Rhinosaurs are height 4, and the Golems are height 4. So it's really more of a speed bump than an actual line of sight blocker, which I know whenever I play against Abyssal Dwarves with heavy mortars, I want to put all my stuff out of sight in turn 1, and so I don't know if Steven just looked at it and was like, "There's really no good place for me to hide. My stuff is too tall. Let me put my thick chaff wall in front of me because he can't see over that, and just expect that I'm going to lose one of them a turn until I get into combat." Right?
Yeah, he's done a good job of at least the from what I can tell, the hordes can't get shot, because one of the important things about chaff you guys talk about is like being able to actually screen properly means blocking line of sight to the units behind you, right? So in this case, he says you're going to hit me, but I'm going to take the shots on the regiments, and the regiments taking hits, you're not too worried about. I mean, the good thing is that they have enough nerve they can take one shot and probably be okay. So it's really going to take a couple shots to take them down. So maybe just put them out there.
Could you check if that Rhinosaur regiment that's on the left, is that inspired by the Central Ancients?
I would imagine they are, right? Yeah,
I think so.
They are for turn one. I can't
So-
imagine they will be for long. So that's an interesting thing. So that
very
one
good point, yeah.
particular one
Well-
might be a bit vulnerable. Sorry, Ashley.
No, I was just gonna say because also with the chaff, like we're talking about dash 15 chaff, that's also speed 7. So there's only so many turns you can shoot them before they're completely on your side, anyways. Like they can haul ass.
And
So
they're good
that's
because you
something
don't want to get hit by them.
No.
Which is another thing I'm I really like sort of about. I mean, you're paying for it. I mean, what are they? They're
150 points.
150 points. So yeah, I mean,
So they're
we should
kind of
probably
even, like,
talk about them as a screen rather than chaff.
chaff. That's why they're kind of like a little too expensive to be chaff, but they could be, maybe they're like the expensive end of thick chaff. You know, like they're
Right.
in
Sure.
that in between range. Like
We-
keep using them as chaff, but like people have said, like you can use anything as chaff at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I was just about to say that. I mean, some people, subscribe to the school of thought that, if you want to use your dragon as chaff, right? I mean, the chaff's end of the game. So at the end of the day, their job is to really make sure that the big heavy hitters get into combat. So, any price investment is kind of worth it, and especially in this matchup where he needs those heavy hitters to connect with that TC, right? The TC is going to be so important here, and that's the one thing I actually kind of worry a bit about. I look at Tom's list, like if he doesn't have a lot of gargoyles, so if the gargoyles really, if they don't block things up enough, he's gonna be looking at a lot of heavy hitting units coming in with lots of damage. So, his list doesn't have a lot of resiliency. I kind of wonder.
It could fall apart theoretically.
Yeah,
He does
absolutely.
have the 2 gargoyles and Basusu can block up 3 things for 1 turn, and there are the 3 hammers obviously in Steven's list that you're going to worry about. So if he times it right, I don't know.
Yeah, and that just depends with the regiments. Can the regiments really stay alive long enough to do that? And that's why getting first turn is so big, because if he can kill 1 unit, or God forbid even 2 units of those in first turn, I mean, it could spiral pretty badly. So, this first turn shooting is going to matter a lot. And it sounds like, as I say that on cue, he's about to fire his first mortar. So,
All right, everybody, hold on.
Yeah, exactly. Here, brace for impact, as they say.
Where's he
All
shooting
right.
them at? Oh, at the first.
Nothing so far. I believe he's using that red token to mark his target.
Oh,
Is that
okay.
right?
Ah, gross. Okay, 2 hits from the second one.
Oh, yep, 2
2 hits, and they're D3 plus 2 each. So
that is
ouch.
2
8
plus
hits, or-
6.
60, 8.
6 plus shattering, so 7 wounds.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah. Assuming. Oh, well.
Oh, yeah, no, but
Yeah,
here
eight
comes
hits.
the
But they're
vicious.
vicious.
yeah, exactly. Why? God forbid they don't have a special.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Those are 7
Wasn't
wounds
an
you
auto
just
wound.
called. So.
So
Yep.
that
Oh,
worked
5?
out to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay.
I thought it was 4 wounds. No?
I.
Oh, no,
I
those are the rerolls. Right.
4. So you have 4 in the rerolls and 3. Okay. Yeah.
So 5 wounds.
Yeah. So 5.
So 5 wounds from the heavy mortar, second heavy
5
mortar.
plus 2.
and-
Okay, it is
Yeah.
7. I'm sorry. So
Right,
We are
Because-
so bad at math. We can't.
I know. That's all right. So 7, as we kind of said initially, right? So 7 wounds there.
No, it's 5.
Um,
Right? Oh yeah, 7. I can't read the 2.
Yeah, the
Seven-
5 and a 2.
seven-
Yeah, I know it's confusing. Yeah.
7 plus
So-
shattering, so pretend like it's 8.
Yeah, so 8. So 8 and then on 15. So that's a 7 twice to kill them. Kind of a coin flip-ish situation. Again, okay, as I say that, they take another crack at him. And
Yeah,
they
from
are
the
in
Hex
trouble.
casters.
Yeah.
So 3 more wounds on him. Yep, good rolling there. So, so that's kind of 1 unit dead, and kind of again the slow spiral down this dangerous path of just running out of units to get in the way, block stuff up, and get hit hard.
The thing that gets me is you have units that are on a matrix between powerful, like they have a high damage ceiling, but then also easy to use. And that was
5
the
more
issue.
wounds to the one in the middle from the 3rd mortar.
There's also this thing too, is like, but like we can talk about Tom's list being dirty and things like that.
Sure.
Which sure, but I've also seen people. If you take this kind of list, and I've seen people take this list. I've played against people with these kind of lists, especially Abyssal Dwarves. But if you don't know how to
And
play
they
them,
live
they
for
lose
one
a lot
turn.
of their potency as well.
So Tom rolled a 5, right on what he needed for that unit on the left with 10 wounds, and then followed it up with a 3, and
Dope.
just does not quite get them.
That's lovely for our buddy on the bottom.
That is very fortunate for him that he still has all 3 units after that shelling.
I think you're right though, Ashley, in that it's not an auto win sort of list. You do have to, you do have to pick your targets, and you do have to sort of deploy sort of to a point. We had a local tournament recently where one of our very new players brought a triple heavy mortar sort of list. He didn't have the decimators in it, but it was that sort of thing. And he still, I don't think he's played 15 games of Kings yet, so he's still sort of learning. But yes, obviously, once you get to a basic level of competency, then all of a sudden, things can get tricky. But sometimes they just don't hit right. Like, we've all had games where people have run triple war engines where they've hit like 2 or 3 times for the entire game. So I mean, sometimes that just happens, I guess.
I mean, I remember playing with elves, and I had Stormwind Cap in the forest turn 1, and it was top of turn 1, his turn, and he shot his war engine. I think it was maybe even a heavy mortar into me, and blew me up, and I died first turn. I didn't even get a turn with them because just hot dice happened. So there's always that element to it too. I find that like the mortars and things can be really swingy sometimes. So being able to use everything else in your army effectively is really key.
Yeah, so one thing I want to talk about, just because I think it's interesting, is obviously this week we got a FAQ out and some errata, and in that they did decide to change Morgoth. But as far as I'm aware, there weren't any War Machine changes. I'm curious if they're going to wait for more data and address that in the Clash of Kings pack. They did, I would have thought for sure things like the heavy mortars, so some of the worst offenders would have got addressed. If they're going to address one thing like a Morgoth, why wouldn't they address some of the other worst offender war machines? I don't know. Anyone have thoughts on that? I feel like they kind of missed the opportunity.
I think there's also an aspect though of like war engines are powerful, but if you know that there's things you can do to counter that, and it feels like because of where the meta was, where people were like, war engines are too powerful, people started taking lists to counter that. So it made them much less effective. I know they're scary, but I think there's an aspect of like you still have a lot of tools to deal with them in the game.
It's tricky though, because like for say Northern Alliance, you've got the only mounted combat individual you have is Clarion, and he's not really a combat individual. Like he's a mounted Skald. So you're left with one, like a Lord or a Thane with wings as your single, like speedy sort of combat individual. And I know Dwarves are in a similar sort of thing. I mean, they've got the Berserker Lords on the Brox, which sort of do a lot of work, but you're often relying on them to do other things in the list as well. So it's tough if you don't have the ability to do counter battery fire, which a lot of the times you can't because the ignore cover mortars sit behind cover. Like here, you've got to get through so much stuff to get to his mortars.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's an intentional design, army design list from Steven's part. I mean, I do love untraditional lists. There's a lot of things here that I think you wouldn't expect to see, even regiments of this Rhino Cav and the troops of Ancients. I don't think I've seen before. Really kind of cool ideas, I think, behind inspiring and, being kind of building up his list and getting the hammers he needs with support. But again, you look at it and how does he deal with war machines, right? I don't know. Honestly, looking at it immediately, I mean, I'm sure there's a way to do it. I mean, obviously you have the flying dragon, you have other ways to and you maybe have a way of just kind of ignoring them, right? That's always been an option. But
but when they're doing like 15 wounds to a defense 5 unit round 1, defense 5 units round 1.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it's pretty rough.
He's very lucky to be alive right now.
Yeah, so I think I can understand why the rules committee decided not to wade into it yet. It was a huge flashpoint discussion.
Yeah, there's the whole: do you wait for an actual update book or do you try and use errata? Where and I mean, I guess they can say, the Morgoth thing was a typo, and I mean, sure. So generally I get that, because that was their argument about the placoderms, because the placoderm troops took a nerve hit, and their thing was, no, that was an actual sort of typo. But the issue is how long is it going to be before a new book comes out, and how long do we have to sit with the choice of, we got to play a list like this to be optimal, to optimize your chance of winning. I mean, Tom said at the beginning he doesn't particularly enjoy playing it, but because he wants to win, this is what he's bringing. So say, okay.
And I think that, like, for me, I went to Siege of Augusta, which was one of the big early discussion points, because that was a tournament it was a good sized tournament where several very War Machine heavy lists produced some very interesting effects on the table, both game wise and like psychologically on some of the players, like in terms of how much they enjoyed the tournament. And so like I went home in my mind thinking, as a TO, I just need to make slightly different terrain maps to make sure there's no good reason to take more than 3 War Machines, to at least cut out like some of the problems and like make some of the terrain a little taller. But I think when you get right down to it, there's 3 armies that are actually an issue, and it's Abyssal Dwarves, and it's Goblins, and it's Kingdoms of Men. And Goblins and Kingdoms of Men, it's about the volume of War Machines, and Abyssal Dwarves, it's about the heavy mortars being +2 and vicious and shattering. So there's no one fix you can make. Like if you make one fix to War Machines, you invalidate War Machines for all the other armies where they're good, but they're not too good. And if you want to wade into nerfing 3 specific armies, maybe that's something they just didn't feel like doing, or they couldn't think of a good way to do it without also screwing up the other armies.
Yeah, because I can see even like Rashad's here said in the chat, like it would, for the heavy mortar specifically, losing something like vicious or shattering or a pierce would make them much less terrifying.
Or just make it legendary, right? Like you can take a heavy mortar and then take 2 regular.
That is the obvious thing, right? But I suspect that the reason why it hasn't happened already is because there's pushback from some, so I suspect that the reason why it hasn't happened already is the reason why it's not going to happen at all.
Sure.
Yeah, that's very
well,
fair.
if Tom wins this entire tournament with this list, then we can say, well, here's the only data point you have for the year.
Right.
And that's the other thing too. Right,
Clash of Kings Australia was won by double heavy mortars. So yeah.
Well, now there's 2.
Yeah,
I think thing too is right now we're talking about a year where the data is going to be skewed because we're not running tournaments like we would normally. So a lot of things are happening on UB. That's great, but we're not seeing how much of it is on the tabletop. There's a lot of people that aren't playing that normally would be. So I think it's going to skew all the data.
That's right.
Well.
I mean, first of all, I see a lot of good discussion in the chat here, so that's awesome. You guys are. I get some of War Machines expect in chat, but anyways, like I think a couple of things to take away, especially from the Masters. I know argument I see quite often is oh well, they didn't win Masters, they can't win tournaments. But one of the things I don't really see talked about much is how Masters was very proactive in the terrain placement in anti-War Machine terrain. So
I felt that way.
So that's something that they were very aware of, and they adapted to what they thought would be something that I don't want a 6 War Machine list to have a kind of open field, so we're gonna make terrain pieces bigger, more terrain pieces that wasn't movable, right? It was kind of gonna block you up no matter what. So that's something that I think that hopefully the rules committee is very aware of when they do come up with something. Maybe I'm assuming that because they didn't address it this FAQ or this errata, that they're gonna maybe have something more overarching and encompassing of all War Machines in a fix that kind of makes all players happy, or maybe you can't make all players happy, but at least something that addresses the quote unquote issue for what it is, right? So
I don't think you'll ever make all of us happy. I think we like
no, Warmer Gamers definitely not.
What else are we gonna do with our time if we can't complain? Okay.
No, I agree.
We've started using new map packs in Australia. A local TO made up a bunch of really good ones. Check them out on UB. Just search for ROI. And he's got a bunch of maps there, and you can have a look at them. And they're just a change up from the Epic Dwarf maps, which not so much designed to be anti-shooting, but a consequence of them is that there's a lot fewer sort of easy shooting lanes. So it's still fine if you've got mobile shooting, so like archer regiments and things like that, especially ones with steady aim, so your glade stalkers and things can still do a lot of good work. But you can't just expect to sort of sit your units down turn 1 and let them get 6 or 7 uninterrupted rounds of shooting.
Well, I think there's also that aspect of, I love tournaments where the terrain is fixed for each scenario, and like all the tables are supposed to have a similar layout for terrain for each turn, in the sense, because of the fact, like, and it did the same thing happen with like dot deployment and stuff, but I like this set piece because I hated walking up to a table and being like, oh cool, because I'm facing this list, maybe it's now they're taking a bunch of war engines, I have 0 cover, but if I was one table over, I'd be fine, but because I'm on this one, I'm fucked.
Yep.
I think so. It's like having that consistency is really nice, and taking out that element of randomness for that, it's kind of.
So I think move phase is not quite over yet, but I think looks like Steven's moved the majority of his army so far. I see him pushing up the middle. Oh, go ahead, Ashley.
Oh no, I was going to ask. So, Mike, is it just that he moved The horde up there on the left there. Yeah, that's okay. So he moved
Yeah,
up.
so I think he may have decided that these ancients with 10 wounds were no longer an effective screen, so
Yeah, that's fair.
save them by throwing the horde in front and say, okay, here's two things that you can that you can shoot at, but we'll take at least 2 mortars to put a dent in, if not all 3 to get rid of the horde, rather than here's an easy kill that you can probably pick off with a
And then move
hexcaster.
on.
Although I think the hexcasters probably still do have line of sight to that regiment.
Pot shots there. Yeah, I mean, then again, it's like at this point you want your horde to be threatening here. That left horde isn't a good spot. I mean, I think they're kind of out of the way. I mean, Basusu could like hit him in the flank, or the Gargoyles hit him in the flank, but they're not in danger of
They're
getting
not
blocked.
stopping him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's in a kind of interesting spot there with that. I wonder if the Gargoyles can kind of pivot around to get to block him, but it's a very, very interesting spot that he has pushed up to here. I I see he's a little hesitant on the right side here. I guess some of it for good reason, obviously, but yeah, I think really see interesting development here. I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little confused why he didn't push up the Rhinosaur captain on the left flank a little more. Yeah, he kind of just sitting back, and I really feel like that nimble piece is should be pushing up the left side as fast as possible. Wonder.
Yeah, I'm
what
not sure
the
what's going on
anticipation is.
there.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of plan he has in mind there. 'Cause
Yeah, I
the
would have
Gargoyles, you can kind of ignore
aimed to
right
leave
now.
him like over here, facing
Yeah,
that
I
way,
would
looking at the flank of the
basically-
Gargoyles. Yeah.
Yeah, I would go. I mean, speed 7, right? So I'd push it 14 inches forward. And then if you do it again, but turn 3, you're gonna be threatening the flank of that whole side of the army. The Gargoyles there's no way Gargoyles are gonna stop to deal with you, right? The Gargoyles are gonna deal with the Rhinosaur stuff, Cav. So
Right, and like if that character is his best bet for putting a dent in the mortars, right? That's like his fastest and most maneuverable thing.
yeah,
So,
go for
yeah,
it.
I would've-
go mortar hunting. Why not?
mean,
Yeah, I would have
those
gone mortar
characters-
hunting and like made Basuzu come and stop me instead of doing anything else, right?
Right. I mean, one of the main rules you're paying for when you buy those units is that nimble, right? And one of the advantages of nimble is being able to do exactly those things is go 14 down the side and still pivot, right? So when you weigh that in, that's I think a little bit of a missed opportunity on his part to kind of push that guy forward.
The only thing I'd say there is I've played Steven a few times, and like I said, or not like I said, like I've thought, he's the only person I've ever seen put the crystal pendant on a mounted individual, and he uses it in ways that you don't expect. So I suspect that he's going to use it to be a real pain in the ass to those golems.
Sure. And that's what this
right.
battle captain over here you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So-
the one with the
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's an awesome item. I'm a Crystal Pendant fan, right? Like, anytime you see it, I think it's really cool. I mean,
It's just
honestly, yeah,
fun.
this army's gonna struggle with Crystal Pendant. Really, there's not gonna be an easy way to take it out necessarily. You have to put at least 1 to maybe 2 units on it to kill it. That character, it's kind of an annoying character to put it on. And so I think Tom, he's obviously can't shoot her like that. He doesn't have any kind of shoot that can deal with him. So.
And the thing with the captain on a Rhinosaur running it up the flank, it's what, turn 4 before he gets into combat, because he's speed 7.
He's speed 7, yeah. It depends. I mean, I see that maybe this is the turn 2 plan, right? He said, okay, turn 1 I do that, turn 2 I kind of consolidate the middle more. I can see that. I mean, I'm sure there's a game plan there. I just don't really see it.
It's not obvious.
I do agree that yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to assume, right? You can go 14 and then 14. So theoretically, turn 3 should be 28 inches up the board with a free pivot, 2 free pivots along the way. So, usually you want to be charging turn 3 on the flank. Anything less than that, I agree, is too slow. But at this point, again, he's trying to consolidate middle. I think I wonder now if maybe he has kind of plans to kind of scoop that token and just kind of push it back. Maybe kind of just play that third token game. So be curious if he kind of, it seems like he's definitely consolidating his forces and playing a little bit tighter. And as I say that, looks like over to Tom, turn 2, he is going to throw those gargoyles.
Or maybe he's throwing the gargoyles. He's
He
thinking
could throw
about
the
it.
gargoyles straight forward and kind of give them their flank to the Rhinosaur just to block them from charging forward. That'd be the only way that I see to do that. And it looks like that's exactly what he's doing.
And he's still an inch out there.
He should be, yeah. I think because
It's always hard to tell on the small maps,
It is. Yeah, it looks like
it's
about
out.
an inch out. So yeah, so he's just blocked so he's just basically said there's no way the Rhinosaurs can get behind him, so they can't fit there. That's the one move I did see. I didn't know if he wanted to throw away his gargoyles that way. I suppose it's fine. But yeah, we'll have to see what he does with his other chaff here.
Well, the Rhinosaurs getting a charge, like an unhindered charge onto the gargoyles, you expect about 8 wounds, even on defense 6. So His gargoyles won't last, and especially if he gets, like a regiment of Rhino Cav or something into them as well. That's probably those golems gone. Because they're like this salamander list, if it gets into it, hits hard.
Yep. So I think zooming all the way in there, I think depending on whether they were playing the line counts or not, those gargoyles either were or weren't a full inch away, because both of them were touching the line. And if they're playing, it's got to be completely off the line, then maybe that's why Tom decided to pull it back.
He could always pivot a little more, right? So I mean, I don't think there's not an angle he can't get there. I wouldn't imagine, but again, it's whether you want them to kind of do anything as far as damage wise. Whether you want them to maybe threaten a flank. I mean, gargoyles on the flank still do damage, right? It's those things that in this case, in the scenario, doing a damage knocks out a thunders, 2 thunders charge in most of these units. So that's actually very significant to the outcome of what they expect to charge, right? So he could easily knock out a wound here and then have dwarves charge rhinosaurs and even kind of grind them out of it, so to speak, right? When you have mortars behind you, you don't mind kind of doing some of those trades. Let's see here. I think so. It looks like it is Tom's turn, right? Make sure we're
yes.
Okay.
You're on the top.
Thinking, it looks like okay. So I'm curious on the right side here. We have an interesting development. So it looks like dragon on dragon. Looks like Tom's dragon's probably out of line of sight of most targets. I think.
Yeah, he measured it so that he can't see through the forest.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's an interesting move as well, because he's now giving a little bit of opportunity for Tom to kind of turn the corner, so to speak, with that dragon. So again, it kind of puts a clock on yourself, and here, kind of as expected from Tom, he's backing up, I think, most units. Again, you're kind of delaying the what is going to be an inevitable clash, right? If you can outrange the hammers, right? And so I don't know if you can throw some 14 inches out there, Mike, from sort of the hordes and regiments, but this is the problem with playing a little tentative, right? When you kind of play a little bit conservative and you don't want to push all forward, the problem is your opponent can always move just back a little bit. And so if you look here, I think so. It looks like the regiments are in range, which barely. So I assume that puts the hordes out of range, right? In probably a couple of these cases. So.
But then again, this is a scenario where if he can hold Tom on the top, like on his side of the board, that's really advantageous for him, because like he can maybe get his tokens over, hold Tom on the other side, take the middle token, and you're looking at winning scenario. But you just then have to keep that position and eat a bunch of mortars. So
right,
and we're about to come up to the big phase of Tom's turn, which is is he going to do another 15 wounds?
Yeah, then someone sends Stefan a beer.
Actually, what's the range on the decimators? Are they going to be firing this turn?
It's only 12, I think.
Yeah, it's only 12, but and he hasn't moved the decimators yet, right?
Right.
Yeah, so he could move, right? So.
All right.
Yeah, this decimator's range is a very big deal. Honestly, because they do a ton of damage, and like the more they get to shoot, the better they are. I kind of I don't know what Tom's kind of doing with those, to be honest. Like I don't see them shooting more. I
suspect he's about to move the whole block forward.
I suppose so, but is he going to have range on anything is the question, right? Because the decimators, are they within 4 plus 12 is 16, right? So is he within 16, and I believe he is, right?
They can.
Yeah, he should have that whole front, right? That whole front.
So that's actually quite a big deal, because that's the decimators being able to shoot kind of for free, so to speak, right? When you say that, they kind of just are going to be able to tee off with no real repercussion of getting charged from much. That's kind of the worst case scenario for the salamander player.
And when we talked
his Black Souls here also have throwing mastiffs, so this would be a good opportunity for them to walk up and
absolutely
as well.
Yeah, I expect that horde on the left to take a lot of damage. That's pretty much that. They have a big bullseye on their head.
So you expect about 5 wounds out of the decimators onto his his front, either of his units. Then whatever the mortars do, then whatever the mastiffs do.
Right. Plus, not only that, but once that all happens, you can't even charge anything. You can only charge the flank of a gargoyle unit, right? So it's definitely a tough spot to be in. That horde unit is in a very, very tough spot. At this point, the regiment might be the ones left standing here. Maybe they'll squeeze in. They'll kind of get something done.
One thing that's to consider is the wild charge on the tyrants. So the tyrants have got an effective charge range of up to 15, I think, if they hit their full wild charge. So the sneaky tyrants coming over the hill. While the tyrants coming over the hill into the golems is something that may happen,
I mean,
depending on.
they're only height 3, but they can see golems because golems are
They
height
can
4.
see the golems. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, wall charge is one of those things that is it's a rule that you kind of have to respect when you play against it, right? It's like you have to assume they're going to roll that 3. You have to kind of play those games.
Well, see, I always play like when it's D3, I try and assume they're gonna go 14.
Yep.
I feel like it's
for
like
sure.
it's like
And
certain. If you play for the max amount someone's gonna do, you're never gonna go anywhere.
And it looks like Tom has moved the golems back to be out of 15 of that front unit of tyrants. So he has protected himself from a charge there next turn.
Yeah. See, like this is where now I wish that like that mounted individual was going farther up that left flank, more like Alex said, because he
Yeah,
could
over
even.
here.
Oh. Now, is Stephen's Clan Lord on a Fire Drake in the flank of the Decimators?
Oh, whoops, wrong part of the decimators. Yeah, it looks like it.
No, I think you want to click the.
Yeah,
far
interesting,
side.
interesting.
Huh. Yeah.
6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19, 20. But it looks like he's out of range because he does have meat of madness of 21.
He doesn't have haste or anything like that now.
Right. Yeah, he's got meat of madness, so that's just +1. So that should just take it to that very thin red line there. So that's going to be like half an inch short with flank charge.
Right. I think one of the interesting questions here is what's Basusu going to do, right?
Meat of Madness is on the Overmaster. The Fire Drake has sharpness.
Has
so
sharpness. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's basically, that the Clan Lords definitely can open him. He can do a ton of damage. Again, my guess here was Basusu might try to lock him down.
And there he goes, grounding a dragon.
Yep. Okay, and then this lets him bring in the other dragon, kind of to present like either a flank or something, right? So you're stuck. And granted, this dragon could probably kill Basusu in one go with that sharpness. So maybe this will kind of backfire a bit, but any other dragon. There's a classic trick here. You kind of throw a unit in front that you kind of expect that at least, your opponent's stuck. If they countercharge it, they might not kill it. They're going to get flanked. But either way, they're grounded. Their options are very limited to what they can do on the turn. So,
and it looks like Tom did throw his other unit of gargoyles into the battle captain with pendant to try to get rid of that with throwaway unit.
Yeah, I don't think
who cares if? Well, I mean, even if he does kill it, who cares if you blow up your gargoyles there? To save it going into something else.
Right. I don't think he expects to kill. I think it's interesting that he shows he definitely respects it, right? He's given a lot of credit to the Crystal Pen. He doesn't want that to smash into his line or to block up his line where you have to get into this guy. You meant to deal 2 turns just charging through this guy, and at the end of the 2 turns you end up taking a ton of damage, right? So very something you don't want to deal with at all. So is
that battle captain with the pendant inspired?
Very good question. I would assume
from the Ancients or the Clan Lord.
Right, so
the Ancients 3, 6 too far for the Ancients.
Just out, yeah.
And Clan Lord is
definitely out, right?
Off there as well. Yeah, he's not very inspiring, is he?
Yeah, it's a good call.
Yeah, no, he's not. So that's a rough, a good catch. If Tom tops him there,
exactly,
because gargoyles can be irritatingly spiky sometimes.
Yeah, he's only 11-13, so it's not up like. Couple of units and a good roll could get him.
Definitely within a good spike roll, and again, I love that idea of finding units that are outside inspiring, just taking the chance. 'Cause what do you lose here if they don't kill it, right? Absolutely nothing, right? The gargoyles are still in the way; they're still blocking everything. They're still kind of effectively doing their job while potentially taking out a very threatening piece to your army. So,
and I think he's moving on to shooting. It looks like he's going to start chucking mastiffs, I think maybe, or decimators at the.
Yep, you call
Rhinosaur
it
horde.
Shooting. So there's the 25 attacks from the decimator thing,
and there's the elite rerolls.
The elite reroll.
Very nice. You get 2 extra hits on that. It's a very big deal. 12 hits. I think they're Pierce 1, so he's going to convert 4 of those. Not so. Again, kind of brought it back to average, right? I think about.
Oh no, so he expected 4.9. So
a little under, but not the end of the world. Nothing to cry about yet.
There's the vicious rerolls. Picked up 2 more. It looks like.
Oh, that's right. Vicious is the thing, right? So.
Yep. Goddamn vicious, man.
Yeah, I just want to think. Yeah, exactly. I forget. Rerolls on rerolls, right? Yeah.
Actually, I need to update my calculations with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, with vicious, it goes to 5.7 is your expected.
So
there's your 6.
Nerds.
Right. So 6. We hit right on the average there. That's the way dice work sometimes, right? You roll them enough times to hit average, right? So, math nerds unite here. Yeah.
And now I guess he's trying to decide what he wants to throw his mastiffs at since he did 6 wounds there. Yep. Where did the marker go? There it
He's
is.
removing
This
the
is
unit
why
already.
the
Huh?
3-inch
It's like
markers are so great.
exactly.
And
Little look,
he's
gonna kill the
moving
unit.
on to the regiment. He might be leaving the horde for the mortars to pick off.
Okay, nothing.
All right. So there's one set of throwing mastiffs gone off of these black souls on the right. Small favor there for Steven. See what happens with the other set of dogs at the same target.
Go doggos.
Looks like 2 wounds.
2 wounds.
And that should bring them up to 7.
This is why I really wish I had that Mastiff puff that was one of the trophies at Masters. That throwing Mastiff was awesome.
It was amazing looking.
That was
the
so
bug eyes
great.
and everything. And here
I would
come the
love to
mortar
just
shots.
throw it at people when you.
First 2 mortars miss against the horde.
Ooh.
And looks like 1 hit from the third one with a 3 roll for the D3.
So.
Or rather, 2.
4. So yeah.
4 and the reroll.
The vicious, you know.
Yep.
Thought he
Yeah,
said 42. I was like,
42.
my dude.
Yeah. 4 wounds. All right. Again, chip damage is adding up here, right? So we got 10 wounds at the end of the day on
We
that
got
unit.
12
Plus-
wounds
plus
so far from shooting.
12 wounds.
Plus
Plus
his,
shattering.
plus his,
13. Yeah.
plus his casters.
And I think also but that could have been worse. It sucks, but it could have been worse.
Also, that horde is what, dash 18. They currently have 10 wounds on them, and they were shot by something shattering, so it's an 11. So they're already up to a 7.
And they're not inspired, I don't think, are they? Or are they just
yeah, I
in the
think they
corner
are.
of the ancients at the back?
Yeah,
I think he just clips them.
The Rhinosaur captain there, and maybe that's the argument for keeping him there, right? To keep that inspiring there.
Keeps them inspiring.
But again, that's not really the role you want that guy to do, right? So,
All right, 2 more wounds on the already wounded regiment from the Hexcasters, which he's going to call good enough, since that puts him in only needing a 3.
That's,
And now he's
absolutely.
casting at the other regiment that already had 7 wounds.
Yeah, it's typically
And comes up empty on that one again.
that regiment wants to live. Okay, you
It
leave
does.
it alone.
It's got a strong will.
Exactly.
But then
If
watch
they
him
look
roll
good,
like
you know.
double 6s for the stupid things.
Yeah, we'll see, right? I mean, he's got the damage where he wants it. So, I mean,
Yep.
kind of
And
saw
he's
that
got to
coming.
spread out through a few units, so
Yep.
some good nerve checks could really. Yeah, here we go. Let's see.
And there's a 10 that will get him, and the 7 will get them.
Do
I
it as
believe,
well. Yep.
Yeah.
with shattering.
Unless they forget shattering, and then
I doubt Tom forgot shattering.
I know, like, because nothing's going away off the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes
it's
you know,
it's a 7
I-
roll.
yeah, maybe it
Your
was
dash 18.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe he's waiting to.
So the question is, which one did the mortars hit? The mortars hit that unit, didn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, they
but
did.
2 of
Yeah.
them missed.
Yeah, 2 of them missed. Only one of them hit, and it hit that.
Yeah. It
for
was
like
the
3
shattering on
wounds.
that unit, not on the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in, really.
Yeah,
Your
it
unit,
does.
you know, you put them out there, they kind of took the damage, and then these gargoyles are still in the way, and they're still blocking stuff. I mean, it's just a really tough spot to be in,
Never check on
especially
the
in the
regiments.
decimators.
But part of me is also like, why not just let him? Would he have been able to see to hit the horde if he had just left the regiment up there to get decimated?
I mean,
Nope.
the only thing I can think of is maybe the terrain was playing a factor there, where you couldn't quite march through it enough to get in position.
And he picks
Maybe
up that regiment he wounded.
Yeah, so
that
they
the
took
regiment he wounded
wound.
last term right on it. He needed
Yeah.
a 3, and that's what he got. So
Yeah, so this is the kind of worry I had with the slow spiral here, right? You take those early game wounds, and
Yeah.
you're just losing. Each hammer you lose like that is very painful, right? It's a big blow to your ability to punch through this line here, right? You haven't even gotten the combat yet, and he's missing two.
There's
heavy
been no
wounds.
real sort of tactical choices or whatever. You know, one guy's moved up, the other guy's moved up, and it's just
Yeah, exactly. It's
When-
a tough spot. Definitely puts you on the back foot a bit here. I'd maybe look to see if Steven's going to take some gambles on his turn to try to push some aggressive charges and kind of really push the pace here.
But it's kind of scary when you have to start taking like high risk gambles at the bottom of turn 2.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
It's
I'm like,
not
if
great.
you're taking high risk gambles in 5, you're like, okay. Now I'm like, you can only take so many. and
Right.
they're not- and
Well,
there's
I mean,
some are gonna not
so. Is
pay
that
off.
his which combat is that where he's fine? Is that the dragon?
I think
So
it was
that's
the Susu, yeah. 2 wounds.
Zuzu on the clan lord. Yep. So
Yeah.
2 is enough to put him on the ground. Certainly not enough to do anything with him.
Right. So who's got the 4 wounds on?
That's going to be the gargoyles on the
pendant one.
on the captain with the
Okay,
pendant.
so the pendant survived. Okay, interesting.
Pendant survived. Pendant lived.
Okay, and what is the pendant's range? Because I think I'm interested because the pendant guy could get into the dragon, right? That's in the forest.
Mm,
You can definitely
back,
see him.
disengage it a bit.
Yeah. So
go.
disengage a bit, turn, pivot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he can
pivot.
get in.
Yeah, he'd be able to. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, he'd have to go, I think, behind the clan
What
lord
he
and then
do to a
up.
wound is a question, right? I mean, he's got.
Because he'd be
Then he'd
hindered.
be
right?
hindered. Yeah.
He will be
'Cause he's gotta
hindered.
go
For
over
sure.
he's gonna have to go over the fence either.
3 attacks. 3 attacks on 4s though is
With crush 2.
Yeah, with crush 2 is
you know.
still that's. I'd take those odds.
I'll take those odds. Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but you can, if you do that and you one shot Basusu with your dragon, then you get to turn to face him, and he's grounded. He's stuck with fighting a guy with crystal pendant. So now those things change massively, right?
Yeah,
Definitely
and then
very good sight there.
feelings.
Very good spot. I think that's a very good move.
The other thing to watch out for is his clan lord on a fire drake. Just because he's grounded doesn't have to countercharge Basusu. So he could withdraw, do 1 pivot, and then charge into the lesser obsidian golems if he wanted to. I don't know if that would be an optimal move, but he could do that.
Yeah, he looks like it is an option. My favorite would be to just kill Basusu. Stomp him out.
Otherwise, Basusu's going to hang around like a bad smell.
Yeah, exactly. And again, he's got that brew sharpness, right? He's got the ability to really get those wounds in there. So you can put 9 to 10 wounds on.
Gonna,
there we go.
Torment you if you don't.
There goes the battle captain into the.
Oh, look at that! You guys are so smart. So smart.
That was all Taz. Now it's a very, very good move. I mean, I think again, it is hopefully he gets that 1 wound, right? That's definitely going to be a factor. But let's if he does it, that again, a really, really good move. And now I expect to kind of kill some of the chat pieces and see what happens.
The good thing about that is that units that weren't able to get into any other combat will be able to kill his gargoyles.
Sure.
Absolutely, yeah. Gargoyles should be dead, and so I mean, the chaps should all be dead at the end of this turn, right? I mean, you should be looking. So it's going to come down to the second wave, so to speak, right? That you kind of kept the stuff behind, and I don't know. It's going to be a tough call. I mean, are the I don't know if we have confirmation. Are those gargoyles actually holding that token in the middle, or are they just kind of standing there?
I suspect they're just standing on it because otherwise they'd move the token sort of middle or behind.
Right.
You see how he has it on his decimators? Like, I don't know. That's my suspicion.
Absolutely, yeah, I think so too. And again, I think look to why wouldn't he just grab that middle token in a way if you can get it and just kind of start running away from the especially you can go left and get behind the hill or that sort of house and hide from the heavy mortars. You can kind of secure a sort of cheeky win here where you can kind of just get 3 tokens and run away and just kind of say deal with it, right? So
just like fuck you guys, I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I'd be trying to do. At least I'll say if I was in the I'd say, I'm not gonna beat you on kill. I'm not even try. I'm gonna try to beat you on scenario and kind of go with that way. So, but we'll see. I mean, it's very early in the game here, and if this kind of trap on the right works in his favor, he could easily see him putting some serious damage on that dragon and possibly killing it and kind of turn the corner. So, my guess is that Tom's gonna have an interesting decision next turn. Do you shoot the dragon now to try to deal with that? Sort of thing he's done now, or do you stick to the middle and keep shooting the middle and just secure the win there?
There's a spot behind the house, the central house, where if you manage to get your units there, it's very difficult for his decimators to shoot you, and it's impossible for his mortars to shoot you.
That's kind of what I was just looking at, because this greater earth elemental is within 12 of those gargoyles, so it could charge them this turn. If they're holding the token, pick it up, and then he could just hide behind the house for the rest of the game.
And then that's a guaranteed 2 points.
I mean that's what I'm saying. Yeah, if he does
and the ancients can run over there too.
The middle token is only ever worth 1.
No, it's not. It's worth 2.
Pretty
if
sure...
you pick it, because it's a loot token. You can pick it up. So in second edition, it was only ever worth 1.
Okay, so then we had it wrong on one of our last casts, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they were the one I didn't say that.
I double checked the rules because that's the thing. Because I was playing the game and I was just like, is it worth 1 or can it be worth 2? And I looked at the rules and there's nothing in the third edition rules that suggests you can't just pick it up and it's worth, if you run it over, it's worth 2.
Oh, and it looks like he's saying he didn't pick up the one on the gargoyles.
Yeah, no, I don't think he did pick.
I don't think he did. So then I think he's just thinking, can I just pick it up then?
Well, no, I think he doesn't want to pick it up because that means then that you have to kill the unit, overrun the exact right amount to land on top of it, and then end your turn there. You can't just get it by fiat
right.
but,
So it's
Yeah.
going to take at least a D3 scoot
An
forward, D6 scoot forward to pick it up. Which
but if you run forward too much, you overrun
you
it.
don't
and
want to
still
do that.
don't get
Yeah,
to pick it up.
you can
So
probably pivot here. Maybe I think if
yeah, maybe you
a
got to
slight
end
pivot to get it.
some of your base ends up over it.
Right.
But the point is that if I was the gargoyle, if I was the player with the gargoyles, I wouldn't want to pick the token up because
No,
the gargoyles
absolutely
are going to
not.
die,
Absolutely not.
and you want to make it harder for them.
Okay, and then Matt in the chat saying Adam Powley confirmed this morning too. It's 2 points if you push it to the other side.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So that's a
Nice. Always
confirm.
nice to see clarification there.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that-
good. I'm
Is
sorry.
that
Then
for the
someone
scenario
told.
points or for the bonus points? Because we've also had some people confused about whether
Yeah,
the loot
That's for
tokens
both.
count as two
It's
for
for
bonus,
both, it
or
looked
that
like.
was just one. Is it for both?
the bonus points were exactly identical to
Should be the same, right?
scenario points.
Yeah.
for
I
this-
know it's
for this
They
it
should
should
be.
always be that way. It should never be different. Anytime you start changing those, I think it's too confusing to kind of.
Yeah, and I'm not
to
that. I
visualize
can't
it.
figure that out.
I'm not either. It's okay. Yeah, it's like keep them consistent. I think it's the way to go.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
he's
fine with bonus points being given out based on the difference between scenario points.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. But don't say something counts for a scenario point and then a different point. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
those
I
are
like
my
the
things.
difference, like blackjack, right? It's the difference in VP points. But,
Right. Exactly. It's like I'm
But,
scoring scenario
but
points.
that's
you're
easy
scoring scenario points.
math. Like, normally,
Adding subtracting is easier. It's usually at least. Yeah.
usually.
I have a question for Ashley. It's a two-part question.
Okay.
Are you drinking rosé, and do you have a shirt that says rosé all day?
No, I don't have a shirt that says rosé au day, but I am drinking rosé out of my cup that apparently looks like a fishbowl, as per Steve Hildrew.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I approve.
it
I
does
have one of
not.
those.
It's a stemless wine glass, but no, I have just no rosé all day though. If someone sends me
Yeah.
that shirt, I would not complain.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. That's
All right, so I'm gonna throw out something that might be a little controversial or offensive, because people seem to say it both ways. So I'm gonna come out and make a stand here and say that Pazuzu is gender fluid. You can call Pazuzu him or her, doesn't matter. Pazuzu is whatever Pazuzu wants to be. There you go. That's my opinion on it.
Sure. And I
Just-
think that's also the same for our tackle and Firebrand in the Salamanders list, because people were trying to work out their gender identity, and it's just like, well, I really feel like for reptilians, it would be a lot less of a thing.
Right.
I also feel like just pick whichever makes sense for your fluff and your army
Sure,
and roll
sure.
with it.
Could be.
Like
I mean,
reptilian parenting is what, lay eggs in the dirt and cover it with dirt and then walk away, right?
Right. I go back to Ghostbusters where they're like, I thought Gozer was a man, and it's like Gozer's whatever Gozer wants to be. I feel like Pazuzu's kind of the same way, like, right?
That's so
Yeah.
Whatever
I'm
is
not
most
gonna
annoying
I'm not
to
gonna
the
tell Pazuzu
opponent
otherwise.
at the time. I
would
feel
Whatever's
yeah,
most annoying.
But it's more fun if you can call him Susan or something stupid.
Susan.
Yeah. The point of it is fun for sure.
As long as he's not a Karen, we're good.
Is there a Karen? Is there a special character that could be Karen in this game?
I don't know. Maybe
Um,
Karen
is
Ryan's.
normal.
Maybe Karen is a hero on Pegasus, and she just
I
wants to be
feel
your
like
manager.
if Karen was in any list, she'd be in the Basilean list,
Oh
complaining about the rules. I feel probably the Abbess or something
Ooh,
like that.
the Abyss on Panther Shade
Would
could
be,
Karen.
her name would be Karen.
She'd have.
Sorry,
She's got long
Jeremy.
hair though. She doesn't have the aggressive forward sweep bob.
She needs the effect. Someone do that model up for me right now, okay?
Yeah. Well, the Sisters of Battle in the GW line, they've got that. They've got a bit of that going on. And extreme Karen vibes. There's some guy whose skin tone doesn't match my acceptable Pantone range of skin colors having a barbecue nearby or something like that. Time for them to be shot by a SWAT team.
Right. All right. So let's talk about the charges that Steven's taken here.
Oh yeah, as we stop talking about Karen.
Yep. We got some action.
Well, I think it's good. I like the Tyrants into the Black Souls. It gives
do
the
too.
Decimators one round before they get going, because the Golems aren't going to be able to get in, I don't think, unless they go up and pivot, but I don't think they can get surged that far.
Yeah, I mean, I think we
The
started talking about
Fire
this, right?
Elemental, I don't know what he wants to do with that, but that needs to be doing something.
I agree. Really, he needs to push that a lot more forward. I mean,
How can I put this delicately? Stephen moves deliberately and carefully, so we may be here for a while.
Right,
But
right.
as long as we're not here for 3.5 hours. I'm just kidding.
Sure. No,
Definitely. I mean, I
by
think-
Australian standards, he's a deliberate player. Let's put it that way.
No, he's. I definitely see a plan in what he's moving here, and again, I like the tyrant charge as well. I mean, I talked about taking risks. And I think to me that's like you want to get stuff in combat now. You start whacking things, and this also speaks a little bit about the grabbing the token running plan, right? If that is your plan, that what else do you want to do but throw a juicy unit in the way to kind of just deal with, right? So maybe the tyrants roll out of the box and they kill a unit. Maybe they kind of sit there and tank for a couple turns. Maybe they just get killed right away, right? Either way.
Here we go. Clan Lord's doing
not
something
killing.
fancy.
Oh,
Going into the gargoyles. Okay.
interesting. I don't know about this. This is an interesting choice.
It might be. It might be because he wants the Clan Lord able to get into the Decimators, but I don't think it's in the Decimators flank anymore unless it scooches sideways. I don't know. I don't know. That's an interesting move. It's an interesting move, Stephen.
Stephen, what doing?
Yeah, interesting choice for sure. I mean, I don't know. I think with the amount of damage that puts out, it's such a great target to do work on Basusu, right, and just do a ton of damage to Basusu.
So I think he's going to move on to shooting now, and the greater fire elemental is going to shoot a fireball at the black souls over here that are on the left that are not in combat.
I don't like that. I would like that unit to get into combat, to be honest.
The fire elemental?
Yeah. He's crushing 3.
It shambles, doesn't it? So it can only go forward 6, and he moves.
Yeah,
up 6.
but that's why you want to take the charge because it moves you that much faster.
Right. Right.
But yeah. Anyway, we'll see.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
There you go.
Interesting. All right, we'll see what he can do here. Maybe, unless he's reconsidering.
He might be saying it's a.
There it goes.
Right. Oh, they've done dampening rooms. Okay. There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
And so
more
then
abyssal dwarf
switched
cheating.
target. He switched his target.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. We must remember to thank Tom for that because he probably would have charged him if he had considered that, but he didn't. So
there's 5 hits and 2 wounds on the black souls from the greater fire elemental, and a roll of a 9 is definitely not going to do anything to that regiment this turn.
Oh, this doesn't have the massive piercing breath attack from 2nd edition? No. Okay. Or was that was a character? Like, I remember there was some friggin' greater fire elemental that had like piercing 3 on its breath attacks. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is gonna be a very important turn. I think these combats here. Are we rolling them now?
Oh yeah, did we go over to the?
I think this is the captain that charged in against.
Yeah, it needed 4s and got no hits.
No hits. That's
rolled
and
2,
a lol
1
from
to
Tom.
2.
A lol from Tom. Okay, that's
Well, that's
Yeah.
aggressive, Tom.
wowzers.
I mean,
Go roll in
that's
the
one of
mud.
those things. I mean, like I always hesitate when you see 3 attacks. Who knows? Especially on 4s. I've rolled enough melee on 4s to know that it's gonna swing either direction. 3 wounds or 0.
Yeah, I mean, like that's why I really like anything that hits on 3s, right? It just takes
absolutely,
a lot of the variability.
Yeah, I played a lot of doors hit on 4s, and it's super swingy. I mean, it's one of those things you just can't rely on it much. And 3 attack heroes, they're kind of in that sweet spot where it's like, yeah, you should do a wound, but there's a big chance you still, significant chance you don't.
I mean, I've seen my captain charge something like the captain in the Kingdoms of Men army and do like 4 wounds, and my giant won't even do that because that hitting on 4 is and also I find giants kind of unreliable. But
all right, so moment of truth: is he going to pick up that token or not? This captain on Rhinosaur easily took care of those gargoyles.
He's already on it, to be honest. Like, he looks like he's on. If you zoom in enough,
he's touching it.
He's already touching it. So
he's already touching it. He could pick it up or not.
Yeah,
if he picks it up, it drops his speed though, so that's a big consideration for that sort of unit.
True, but he could
And he
pick it up
loses nimble.
True, but he could pick it up and then just drop it behind himself next turn and let the ancients walk up and pick it up.
Sure.
Because the ancients are only the same height as all the other dwarves, so it's not like the mortars are going to be shelling them until some of the dwarves are out of the way.
There goes. He's picked it up.
He's picked it up. Okay.
Shocked. This is
Now
my
he
shocked
runs
face.
away. They were saying on one of the earlier matches, like, you always pick up the middle token when you have a chance.
Yeah, it's not a fair point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think exactly. I'm curious here. I kind of wish he angled himself a little bit more to the left, because now he's pretty much said that he's committed to this middle combat with that guy. Because if he angled it more right now, even if he pivots 90 degrees, he's not going to be behind that house. If he angled a little more, he could do that nimble pivot and still move forward. The
I
full distance.
suspect he's
But he has
not
no
going
nimble
to try
now,
and
right?
hide. He's just going to try and
He's going to
disorder
bring
the.
it right, and that's fair, and that's
Yeah.
very fair. I mean,
Yeah.
one thing I'll say is that, like, it's almost a good thing that he charged the gargoyles with the big dragon, because he didn't commit himself to a close combat against Basusu, right?
Yep.
So now he's got a very safe kill. He can pivot and not get flanked by this other dragon, right? So hats off to
Yeah,
Steven
the
for
dragon doesn't
playing
have
conservative.
any flanks, does it? Or does it have a flank on that ancient? The ancients that are not carrying the token.
Yeah,
He does, but
Can he see him over the other dragon?
I don't think he'd be able to see him.
I
over the
don't
other
think
dragon.
he can see.
yeah, I don't think so either. Depending on where they end up
No.
here, they're getting each other's way, so this is
Yep.
a little awkward here. The one unit I worry about too is that horde of tyrants there. Um, they make sure that right now you want to make sure there's no sliver left there for the dragon to fit
I think
in.
the Rhino Cav will be able
Yeah,
to
like
pivot.
he's doing it right now.
Exactly, and it looks like he's very aware of
Yep.
that. So good thing on him. Yep, to kind of make sure he's aware of that, and again, he just kind of takes some playing with, but he's doing really well. Good job on Steven's part to kind of clean this up and deal with it. He played, I'd say that was a pretty conservative term on that side, and actually paid off in his favor. So I like to see good play being rewarded. That's always cool to kind of see that happen.
And you can definitely see, like, the way he deployed his army. He basically deployed it in a column in layers, and he's just sort of moved it forward.
It's gone
as
like
the layers have peeled off
French
and done their thing.
Napoleonic thing of we're just going to march forward, and your superior British shooting might take out the first row and the second row and the third row, but guess what? There's like 9 more rows behind that.
Right, and
just marching forward.
Yeah, I do kind of like that about these troops of ancients. Like, it's like they're so far back. Like there's just be barely anything left alive, and they're just going to kind of come in there, and they have enough stats to do damage, and
well, they're 10 attacks hitting on 3s with Crush 1 is
it's legit.
not nothing, especially
Absolutely.
if they're hitting wounded stuff, and the defense 6.
The defense
helps.
6.
I'm
13.
gonna
Like,
yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna be laughing very hard here if those guys end up being the deal breaker of, like, that they come in the very end and swoop in. I mean, that again, that's a unconventional unit. So who else is taking troops of ancients? I mean, not that I know. I haven't seen anyone doing it. So I really love the idea. It shows that he's.
I just gotta be right back.
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. So go ahead, Ashley.
I was just say it's like yesterday in Brindley and Tom's game. It's like we were like, those mounted guys, they're gonna do it. They're gonna be the ones that make a difference in this game, and then get a rear charge off on Brindley's Phosphane Cav that he was like, they'll do nothing. Wiped him off the board, lost the tokens. Like, we make a joke about that's the unit that's gonna matter. Watch this.
all right, so the Tyrants with Elite got looks like 16 hits on the Black Souls,
Ow.
and is that going to be 9 wounds? I think.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts real bad.
And Black Souls are 14, 16.
So 9 wounds with a 16. So he needs a 7 twice, I imagine, to break them here. Again,
yeah, he rolled a 10. Oh, and then a 3.
And a 3.
Okay, so they hold. They kind of as expected. But again, that damage is not going anywhere, right? So that's it looks like it was 10 damage, I think, overall, right? So
yeah, but then he's also
I mean, again, a good hit.
So now
and there's a couple of stray rolls in there where the effigy of fire rolls, which he used, only got 1.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah, I mean, I think he did a
a
good job of just kind of putting the damage in. Again, you kind of these guys, even if they kill them, right? Like, no matter where you pivot, you're kind of dealing with stuff, right? So killing that unit wasn't necessarily that important to the game plan. It's just putting the wounds on there, and so a hot wound roll like that and a low nerve roll is perfectly fine, I think, for the situation. Nothing wrong with that at all. So, Tom, I think he's got an interesting turn here. I mean, I think things have definitely shifted a bit in the middle here. He's got the token. He can play the scenario game now. So I still worry about the shooting that's going to come and rain on him. So
Yep.
it looks like Steven's decided that he's going to play the scenario for, he's going to try to win this middle and try to win the scenario that way. He's not going to try to run away with anything like that, which is just fine. Respectful decision. When it comes to things like kill points and that, you don't want to give up too many. So sacrificing most of your army just to win a small scenario win is not always, that important in the grand scheme of things. So I respect the effort of going for the big win or going for the bigger win.
So by popular demand, I decided to try track and kill points for this one, even though
Okay.
it doesn't matter for the
Okay.
scenario.
There you go. So it looks like a 250
They might be
points
right.
swing.
They might be wrong.
Right,
but
right.
They could
So
be
we
close.
just put an ish next to every point,
Yeah.
right? So
Ish.
yeah,
Ish.
exactly.
Or
So,
approximately.
right, right.
Unknown
Yeah,
exact amounts.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I never really tend to pay attention to those kind of things in a game, more so than just kind of what units are where, right? I think,
Yeah.
it's always great to kill units. Don't get me wrong, but you don't tend to track it that closely. I don't think.
No. I think the only time I ever really paid attention to it was I was like, I'm going to lose this game. I'm going to lose this game so hard. But if I kill this one beast of nature, I take away 1 point and I get to keep 1 point in blackjack. And that's a very sad story. But Corey Reynolds is a really good player and tabled me.
Oh,
so.
well, yeah. Yeah, go for you. Sorry.
I was like, if I kill your beast of nature and you table me, 1 point for me. That's all I have to do.
All right, so Tom is starting his movement here. It looks like he's set up what is probably a surge flank charge with the lesser golems into this regiment of rhinosaurs. And then the Black Souls on the left has charged the tyrants in the flank.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised that happened. Yeah.
Me neither. And I guess at this point you just position the decimators to shoot at the captain on rhinosaur with inspiring and a token, right? That's what you're going for there, which is in range. How tall is that guy? Battle captain on rhinosaur is height 4, so easy to see.
Yeah, I was just looking at the height.
Not nowhere to hide it. So if you're Tom here, is that basically what you do? You just countercharge everything. You hold the line and try to shell the hell out of the guy that just picked up the game-winning token, and make him send something else out there to pick it up into no man's land.
Honestly, I'm still the way he is committed.
Oh,
to the strategy,
no.
I'm still worried
Okay.
about the dragon. I would shoot the dragon personally. That's still to me the biggest threat on the board. That guy does a ton of damage. I mean, he's just gonna be something to deal with. So that's what if I was Tom, I'd be shooting to that. We'll kind of see what he decides, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I still think dragon is it's a wild card right now, right? How's he gonna deal with that dragon, right? He's got Basusu, he can start chipping away at it again, but you also have a crystal pendant coming in to block stuff up, so this flank is very undecided on the right. I'm curious to see how it does shake up, because there's a lot of options here, especially when the dragon can fly now. I wonder where the dragon can maybe just fly, and again, I kind of do the same thing I did last turn with the dragon, which is just fly, get on the flank of their dragon, and try to throw Basusu in there again to kind of time up, and eventually you hope that you'll get to some kind of flank charges to just kind of turn the corner. So definitely something you have to deal with.
Yep, and it looks like that's what he's starting to think about as he's pulled out the ruler to measure distances there. So he can definitely see flank of that ancient troop. I can't tell if he's on, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. I don't think he can get to the one that's carrying the tokens. Oh, it looks like he's made up his mind and he's just going to go after the other dragon.
So did I miss Stephen's Tyrant Horde not killing the regiment?
Yes.
Yeah.
He did.
So
that's
he
rough.
did a good amount of damage on him too. He did have the 10 wounds, but with the
He rolled a 3.
yeah, we didn't get the
on the
nerve he
reroll.
needed. So
Yeah.
And again, it was but to me, it's like he still did the damage he needed to. I mean, yeah, you got flanked there, which is unfortunate, but I mean,
Well, they're defense for the tyrants, so the Black Souls are going to do some work on them.
definitely, yeah.
Shooting.
All right. So now that he's gone into combat against the dragon, what's his likely shooting target to be here? Is he going to go after the guys carrying the tokens?
He's going to shoot the other tyrants, I reckon. If they're on the hill, he can see them.
They are on the hill. There's a surge. They're on the hill, but they're not 50% on the hill, which means they don't add the height of the hill to it, which means the mortars can't see them.
No, they can see them
the
through the
towns.
hill. So you can see, if you can see the hill, you can see the unit.
They can see them through the hill, but there are taller things in between them, or are there things the same height as them in between?
So they
That's right. No,
that's
exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right, Mike. So there's
until you're 50% on the hill, you're not on the hill, you're in the hill.
Yeah,
Probably the-
I always
theoretically,
think of it as like you're going up a hill and you can like see a little over the crest of it,
right,
but
right.
you're not standing on top looking down.
The
where
greater
everything's
fire,
so
the
weird.
greater fire elemental, and that battle captain, I think, probably gonna get hit from the mortars.
So these are going to be the decimators shooting at what did he pick as a target? I didn't see where he put the thing. Oh, he looks like he did put it on the captain.
Okay, so it looks like he decided to charge the dragon and deal with them, which is fine. I
Yep.
think as long as
Instead of shooting it.
yeah, which again, this dragon. I agree that he acknowledges the dragon is such a threat right now that he has to deal with it in some way. That fire drake, the Plain Lauren fire drake,
Alright.
is just a monster.
And
So
it looks like here comes the mortars at the same target.
All right,
Miss
here
So
we
with
he's
the
go.
first
already
one
taken 7 wounds.
from the decimators. A miss with the second one.
Miss
He
with
might live through this, and a miss with the third
the
one.
third one. That's
That's big.
what is the
That is-
nerve on the boy on
It is
the
dash
rhino
dash
thingy?
15. Dash
Oh, okay.
15. Dash 15, and he has inspiring talisman, so he at least inspires himself. So there's a really good chance that he'll live.
So is Tom joking, or is he being sincere when he says things like,
He's kidding.
"Okay,
He's just kidding around.
Yeah, very tongue in cheek. I think there moment.
Very tongue
I
in
think
cheek.
that's just
Yeah.
Tom's humor.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Tom knows he knows he's taking a list that most consider very filthy, and he's not, he's sorry, not sorry about it, right? So it's
Yep.
I think he's doing an
it's got
important
a
thing here.
bit of the Millwall thing going on. Nobody likes us, and we don't care."
Exactly, right. So I respect that. I think it's fine, and especially for a tournament like this, why not play something? Let's put it on the table, see how it does, right? Is it really as good as everyone says it is, right? And we'll have to kind of wait and see how that happens here. But
Oh,
I
so
think
they're
definitely
okay
things
there.
are in his favor right now, I would say.
Yeah, I think also that tongue in cheek can be.
So
Good
what's
and funny.
interesting about this positioning now is that it's opened up the Decimators horde to get charged. The battle captain can nimble pivot around and get into the Decimators, even if the Iron Guard kills the Black Souls kill his tyrants. That should be able to nimble pivot around there, and maybe the Greater Fire Elemental might be able to squeeze past, depending on how he shapes up. So that is an interesting thing. I mean, you had to take the flank. You had to flank the tyrants if it presented to you, but
Yeah,
I think it has exposed the Decimators, which
I think so.
which is interesting.
If he has a range, I don't know if you can search that or if you can show us that, Mike.
For which one?
If the fire elemental can reach the decimators,
3, 6, 9. He's just short.
just short.
Yep.
And that's, I don't know if that elemental is kind
That's
of out of
rough.
position. Yeah, very rough. I agree with you, Taz. Like that guy needs to really do some work. I mean, it's a lot of points.
I think when we talked, I've written it down to ask Stephen after the game, but I'm pretty sure he just forgot or didn't think of the dampening the dampening runes, because he really wanted to get rid of those weak casters.
And as we talk here, unit was just removed that very hot rolls into that tyrant. So
that was 16
tough
wounds.
break on that one. Yeah, I mean, I thought they would maybe take that a little better, but again.
But didn't they also already have wounds on them too from shooting?
Def 4 is rough.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, looks like it didn't matter either way, right? So,
I mean, that's 16 wounds on a dash 15 thick chaff unit.
Thick chief.
Thick chaff. So that's yeah.
No, that was on his tyrants. That was on his that was on one of his hammers. His dash 17 hammer.
Yeah, but I think he had already
Oh,
taken
you're right.
wounds too from the mortars and shooting that before, so it wasn't like he was clean and fresh going in there. He smelled like a hot summer day. I put my sweater on inside out. Ignore me for a sec.
Moist.
There we go. Moist.
Moist.
Now we just like averted half our watching group.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I live in Virginia. When I woke up this morning and checked the weather, it was 99% humidity outside. Welcome to my life.
I can't wait to go back to the West Coast where I used to complain about 30% humidity. Please take me away.
And it looks like we're rolling combat again here with that Rhinosaur regiment that's flanked by the golems, and that is more than
no surprises there.
Not
sure.
Gosh, that vicious helps them so much.
Well, and I think also when you can take those kind of flanks, it just ick. That's all I got.
Well,
Better commentary.
Now, what's interesting is how so he's running the one unit back and then seeing if he can pivot his other unit, rather than presenting a nice big flank to a bunch of stuff.
I don't think he got enough. He only got 1 inch backwards, so my guess is they're kind of stuck there in a very awkward position, to be honest.
So then he's getting tyrants.
Okay, so he did find an angle there. Looks like enough, maybe.
So then the battle captain's in the flank, but with weakness. I mean, what's the battle captain got? Battle captain's got just crush 2, so then he'll be eating crush 1. Yeah.
Which
There,
goes with
that
defense
angle.
6, right?
The angle looks like he's on top.
Yeah,
of
the
his own
defense
unit.
6, yeah.
Yeah, so it is going to be awkward. Yeah, you're right. There's no easy way out of this. Always the risk you take when you have a bunch of units.
And I wonder if that was necessary to take out that essentially screening unit.
But then
Yeah.
also, why would you not? You could have just also, instead of backing up, sidestepped the lesser obsidian golems with the 3 wounds, and then you would
Yeah.
have had enough room to pivot.
Yeah, that's definitely a good dude. That's definitely the move.
That's the move there,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, you
Absolutely.
sidestep over. It doesn't expose anything for you. It keeps you a nice wide angle, and then you have room to pivot into a nice spot.
Yeah, you just need an inch to pivot properly. Exactly. I
Yep.
completely agree.
Exactly.
That was
I'm writing a
100%
list of all the
move.
questionable decisions that the players made, so we
All
can
the
grill them
mistakes they made,
afterwards
you
in the
mean?
hot seat.
All the ways to grill them. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Would
Someone
you
fire
agree
up the
that these are all
barbecue.
your mistakes?
yeah.
I mean, we've said that to people. Did you make a mistake here? And they're like, no. Like,
Yeah. I
no.
you can always word it like in a way
Yeah,
it's like,
too.
well, why'd you decide to do this here, right? And let them answer
Yeah,
the way they will.
exactly.
So,
Right.
but
So
you
here's
know,
combat
again,
on the dragon.
yeah.
Okay.
So definitely, this is a big one right here. I mean, this dragon, I'm assuming is gonna hold here. It looks like he
2
takes 2 more
wounds.
wounds from Basusu, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
And
then
then
here
here's
comes the
the
big boy.
Overmaster.
So
7 hits.
fast rolling there.
Now,
7
is it just me, or does it not look like they're sharing face well on Basusu and the dragon frontage?
So they're supposed to be sharing it.
They're not. It's a
proportionally.
touch. It's a touch sloppy, but not too bad.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just because I was like, what is Basusu in there?
So
Like,
I think the
kinda-
dragon
Oof.
is about 3 times the base size, but as we're standing here,
is-
we want to miss the crucial combat. 6
That
wounds
is
more.
2
So.
10s for the nerve rolls. So that will pick it
Oh
up.
no!
Ah,
That's big.
That is absolutely brutal. Oh
yeah.
my god!
So now with that front charge from Basusu and the dragon, goodbye to Steven's dragon with 2 10s for nerve.
Needed a 9, got a 10 twice.
10
yeah.
twice.
And like that's a lot. Like that's a really good nerve roll. That's UB dice. Or
Yeah, Tom's starting to comment here. I mean, yeah, exactly. Oh, that one you got to feel for your
And the-
opponent. I mean,
what's-
how many things went against him this game, right? You lose the coin flip for first turn. You kind of you push up, you lose a unit first turn right away. Or sorry, second turn you lose a unit to like some heavy shooting, and then now you lose a unit to a nerve roll like that, and you got to wonder like how many things went the other way. Could at least done a little better.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I
feel
guess we
for him.
found out that the state animal of Texas is what, the filthy jackass.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it's
Alright.
you can joke about Dojo all you want, for sure. This is the kind of list you just have to deal with, and Tom is very merciless. He's not going to pull any punches here, as you would expect from a top player.
Yeah,
You
well,
don't
it'd be
get the
interesting
top
to see.
table pulling punches.
Yeah,
And I think that's fair.
Well, not in, say, round 5 or 6 of the tournament.
No.
Because obviously there is people who have made it to round 4, and not necessarily the top tables. I mean, I guess this is the top table. But if you go back and look at Stephen's lists, they're fine, and other people who have made it all the way to the top. But yeah, to make it all the way through 6 rounds, but this is the question, right? Like, while these lists exist, you kind of, if you really want to optimize your chance of winning a 140 plus person tournament, you've got to take this, all the undead ones, with the Morgoth crutches and stuff like that. 2 whites, 2 Soul Reaver infantry, that sort of thing.
Mhm. Did you see my list from this week?
No,
Right.
was that what you were running? Was it?
I
That's
think
pretty much what I was doing.
It was a theme list. The theme was crutches. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine someone just makes an undead list and everyone just like all the greatest units just have crutches?
Right.
Like literally
It's
crutches.
Yeah.
Please.
My theme was S tier units of the undead army.
Yeah, for
I've
sure.
actually
I mean,
set myself a challenge for the next tournament we've got coming up locally. I'm going to play good undead. I'm going to play good undead with no vampires, no zombies, and no revenant cav. And to see if I can still make a competitive list with like all that stripped out of it, and no whites either. I think I'm
So like Jarvis and skeletons.
and trolls, zombie trolls. Thank you.
Zombie trolls are awesome, actually. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So zombie trolls, but not zombies.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I'm And werewolves, maybe. I don't know, because werewolves are still good. They just never get played because there are better options.
Right.
Well, I think there's also an aspect of you can take things that aren't necessarily super optimized, but once you get the rhythms of an army and how it works, there are people that play armies that we don't expect to do fantastic that do really, really well with them because they just have like this intrinsic knowledge of how the game works and how they can best use that, and people don't expect to run across it. So, but then again, yeah, you could just take the Morgoth Crush. So, Crutch.
So while we were talking, Stephen did roll his wild charge for those tyrants, and I believe he got a 6. So they do have their full 15-inch charge
Okay.
range.
Very cool.
Um,
I wonder.
Quite a lot
I
of
wonder
aim.
now if Steam will sort of adapt his tactics now, and the whole running away strategy might look a little bit more tempting now, right? So you know,
the
he's got
tyrants.
the 3 tokens right now, right? The game ended right now. He would be winning technically.
So the
you know.
tyrants with the boots on the hill, do they have a flank on the whatchamacallit boys? The lesser obsidian
The
golems?
regiment.
Nah. Golems are
Golems.
the only thing that's got a flank on
yeah,
the golems is the battle captain.
Yeah, which is quite a
Yeah,
commitment,
sorry.
right? Which is fine. He would be fine, but it'd be definitely a commitment.
It's just angles always look weird
this
up here.
this is a turn where he's got to decide his tactics, right? What are you gonna do? You're gonna commit
The battle
to the
captain's got to go into the decimators.
Yeah, that's definitely the mill commitment strategy, and it looks like
Yeah,
Steven
it
agrees
looks
to
like
you.
he's possibly dropping the token to do it.
Yeah, Stephen
Yeah.
is not the sort. I've never seen him play a loss mitigation strategy.
Sure, and that's smart. That's the way you win tournaments. I mean, honestly, you got to play big. I think you were last time we said it, but I respect. Why fight for this very minor win, or when you could potentially just push for the middle, go for the big win, right? Get as many points as you can. That's the way you play tournaments, especially a tournament the size with as many players. You need to really get as many points as possible, right? So
what I would do if I was Stephen is ignore the lesser obsidian golems for this combat. Try and clean up everything else. Clean up those immortal guard things. Whatever, black souls.
Black Souls.
Clean up the black souls. Get the greater fire elemental in close. And just hope that, because the lesser obsidian golems are going to be jammed up or hindered or whatever else, so
definitely.
maybe you hope that they get a poor combat roll.
And there goes the fire elemental into the dwarves, just like you were suggesting.
It's interesting that he
Or
hasn't
maybe
put the
not.
tyrants in there as well. I think he's multi-charging it. Yeah, I would put the tyrants into that unit, and then I would put the rhinosaur screen over into the wounded black souls. And then you've just got the ancients somehow to protect from the friggin' dragon. Interesting.
Talking about these rhinosaurs. Like I said, these are the only rhinosaurs left. The ones on half on the hill.
Right. Yeah. So they don't have a arc on that. So I guess those rhinosaurs just go straight into the clan lord, don't they?
Yeah.
They're not going to get through Basuzu in one turn.
Or Basuzu, yeah. And he does still have his battle captain with pendant back here, which he can still try
I
to
would
do
jam
something
up. I would jam up that golem's horde on the right there, because if you jam that unit up, it stops the back unit from moving, as well. And I don't even think the back unit could pivot and get surged anywhere. So again, shoulda, woulda, couldas.
All right, so unfortunately, I do have to drop right now. So I did have a prior commitment I have to go to. Be watching the rest of this battle later. Definitely curious to see what happens. But thanks for having me, guys. I will take my leave here. Yep.
All right.
Goodbye.
Thanks, Alex.
I brought in a guest commentator.
Oh, hello.
All right.
I'm going to pretend I know everything that's happened in this game, but I don't.
I'm surprised you're still able to move around freely, Brindley, after yesterday.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm recovering. I need physio.
Yeah.
But Tom made me feel better because he said I even gave him a bit of a challenge. So I'm like, yes. So, moral victory achieved.
What was the tone of voice that he said when he said that, though?
Oh, it was over text, so I don't even know.
Okay, so you don't know if he was doing yeah, okay.
That's like when someone like Brindley says, it was a close game.
You know what?
When you get tabled.
I'm putting it away. Consolation prize. I'm accepting it.
All right.
And all I did, I don't know, I've seen some of this stuff. I saw the dragon die, and I felt that. And yeah.
That was big. Yeah. Steven has not gotten a lot of breaks here.
No,
Mortars
I don't
doing
think.
a lot of wounds.
I've been noting down the rolls, and Stephen has not had a like a lucky result. Like he's got average results
Yeah.
and things like that. And sometimes Tom's hitting's been spiky. Like in turn one, he hit so theoretically he should hit once per turn with his mortars. And last round he hit no times, but turn one he hit like 2 or 3 times. So
and you already got to go first too, right? So,
yeah.
We haven't seen any charges from the rhinos that got their wild charge off yet, though. While I was in the bathroom.
No, he's still thinking about what to do over here with Bazuzu and the dragon.
I feel for him because I very much like you come up with an idea of what you're going to do during your turn, and you formulate that while they're doing their rolls and their moves and everything like that. The dragon going just probably screwed his entire plan. It's just out the window.
I don't have a plan.
So I don't blame him for taking longer than normal here.
Yeah, I mean, I know exactly what you mean, and I think at a tournament this would cause me to take like a 3-minute break and just sit back and think about everything. Like, all right, I just lost my dragon with sharpness on 2 10s he rolled for nerve, rolled 2 10s or 2 9s.
2 10s,
And what did he kill with that dragon?
And I think he needed something like 2 9s.
Right. And he rolled a 10.
But also, like, what did that dragon with sharpness get to do? Kill gargoyles?
I was going to ask you guys that because I didn't see what it did in the early game. Did it just never get a chance to go around the flank, or it just jumped in on a flank charge, or what happened?
It didn't because Tom's Overmaster has Meat of Madness, which means that they both dragons were deployed on the same flank, but it meant that the Overmaster was always going to get the jump. And then it was grounded by Basusu as well, so he then couldn't even do some sneaky, like, fly around and get out of arc potentially of the Overmaster.
That sucks.
So the only thing is he just needed it to survive 1 round of combat from the Overmaster, and it didn't. And that was just, again, not super outside of the expected sort of range of results, but definitely lost a coin flip there, and he lost a coin flip obviously for turn 1, and he lost a coin flip for grounding the Overmaster with his mounted battle captain.
And he lost a coin flip for breaking those black souls in the middle that he put 10 wounds on.
Well, he lost more.
That was the other one that I noticed that looked pretty rough for him.
Yeah.
I think he rolled like a 3 for the nerve check, and he needed a 5 or 6.
Yeah.
For the Black Souls, he did 10 wounds on them, and they're 14, 16. So he needed a 6 twice. So that's a little bit better odds than a coin flip, but not much. Like, it's again, whether they were wavered or not, I don't think was material. What mattered was that they didn't disappear. So right. Going under a 6 twice is not, a great injustice. Yeah. But it's just, this is the issue. It's just every time there's been a 50-50 thing, it's come up sort of Tom's way, and and you just see like
go ahead.
Oh, you just see with the positioning, like you look at from where the deployment was, and it hasn't changed. Like Stephen's column has just run up the guts, and Tom's held in position, like nothing apart from his Overmaster has crossed the center line, or even come near to it, and so this will be interesting for Tom actually if he's trying to optimize, right? So he wants. Yes, he'll get the 5 bonus points for kill, probably. But will he get the 5 bonus points for scenario? Also, probably, if he grabs that center token and then... But his only chance of it, because the Decimators aren't going to cross the center line.
Well, I don't know. I think they might, because, I mean, we're still have at least 3 turns left. And it looks like Steven's army is disappearing very quickly at this point.
Part of me wonders too if Steven wouldn't have been maybe better off, but like hindsight's always 20/20, deploying more to one side instead of right down that funnel.
Well, he wanted the unhindered movement going straight forward.
That's fair.
Because if he'd gotten turn 1, right? Like if he had gotten turn 1, he's got those units moving 12 inches up. Well, the Rhinosaurs are moving 14, say, and the Tyrants are moving 12. And so already he's at the middle of the board on top of the hill if he wins turn 1. And then he's charging off the hill with the extra Thunderous, but he didn't win turn 1. So
the way push goes, you already want turn 1 normally. When you're facing against a list that dominates and shooting by a long shot, as well as being slow, you really, really needed that roll. So it's quite the back foot he was on, but
And it looks like he has decided to take
Well, and the interesting thing is that
to
the game wasn't
Golems.
over. And I mean, the game is still not over, but
No.
the game wasn't over because, all of his units can do work. It's just the successive coin flips all coming up heads when he needed a tail.
Yep. But it looks like he has sent the battle captain with the
Battle
pendant
captain
into the golems like we thought he might.
Yeah. That's the one with the crystal pendant, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he's not wavered?
No.
Huh.
No, hindered.
No,
Run out of the
because
woods.
nothing bugged him last turn, I don't think.
No, he was fighting with the Overmaster, and he charged in, failed to do a wound, and the Overmaster just flew over him and hit the dragon behind him. Okay, so now he might be thinking about sending the tyrants into the already wounded.
Yeah,
hoping-
the tyrants are
hoping to walk
going
forward.
into that one.
So I guess there you hope to walk forward at least the inch, and you clear the black souls.
Well, Tom's got to move those hexcasters out the way. Otherwise, he's going to get the big daisy chain of the tyrants, killing one hexcaster, then the other, then into the decimators.
Yeah.
I mean, presumably Tom knows that, and will chuck them back behind the golems and decimators. But
and it looks like they're confirming that the golems in the back have no way to pivot through the golems in the front to get into position to charge the tyrants. So you do this, and then you throw the fire elemental into the black souls in the front there, like he was thinking about doing earlier. Or
the ancients don't have a charge on anything, do they? No.
No, I don't
What's
think they
their
do.
speed? It's
Not
only
by
5,
last
right?
Okay, so
Their
there
speed
goes
4, I think.
That speed 4 is just
they are.
gonna bite him
That's
hard.
the
here.
balancer. That's the balancer. Otherwise,
Yeah.
that unit.
Right.
Nuts.
They're already pretty nuts.
Right.
So I mean, he might get to charge
Oh, don't put
something
him on
by
the
turn 5. Who knows?
Yeah, he definitely needs to pivot them so that they do not end up 50% on the hill, so those mortars cannot see them. You do not want that.
No, none of that.
And so that will put them out of Pazuzu's line of sight. And assuming the Overmaster gets sat down by those Rhinosaurs, they should be in a pretty safe position for next turn. And if from here he just walks forward, picks up that third token, and then runs them sideways and hides behind the house and just doesn't die.
Then
Just
it'll
make
come
a
down to
break
the
for
coin flip of do they go to turn 7?
Right.
What turn are they on? Bottom of 3. Oh man.
Bottom of 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Still a lot of game left. A lot of stuff dead, but still a lot of game left.
Well, where are we at for kill points? I was just wondering. It was like Tom's killed over 1,000, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Steven has picked up gargoyles.
Yeah. Steven has remaining. He has 120, so 240 plus the tyrants, which is another 260.
On the bottom of
So
the screen.
500. Then the GFE 175, so 675. Then the battle captain, who's another 160. So yeah, it's rough. Hang on, bear it back.
Right.
So
Now you're stuck with us, Mike.
what did Steven kill?
Darn.
Gargoyles.
Oh God. Okay.
I think that's it.
Yeah,
All right, but it looks like he's ready to move on to
Gargoyles.
combat, and his battle captain on Rhinosaur is going to beat up some Black Souls here.
I think that's the decimators, no? Oh no.
I'm sorry, you're right, Decimators. My
That is
fault.
decimators.
Those are
but-
Decimators.
I mean, okay, so it's hard to see. Actually, you got this tiny screen. Is that 8 wounds on the battle captain?
He has 8 wounds on him already. Yep.
Yeah, so those devastators can just kill him in melee in one turn
They might be
quite
able to.
handily because they hit on 4s now. So
And now we're jumping over to the Ancients on Rhinosaurs, trying to ground the Overmaster with a hindered charge. Should be 4 hits, even hindered. It should be pretty good.
That's
And then just need a 4. Looks like he picks up a couple of wounds there, so that will ground it. Probably not going to break it with that many wounds unless you
but
get
it
lucky
will
with a
sit
lucky roll.
down.
But it will sit down and it will stand there and it will beat on.
Yeah, so 3 wounds onto the Overmaster thingamabob.
Yep. And now the Ancients on
Basuzu?
Basuzan.
Basuzan?
Basuzan. Whatever it feels like being called today. Whatever mood it's in.
So that was 7 hits and 3 wounds?
It's like only 3 wounds.
Yeah,
and a roll
looks
of
like
6.
3 wounds.
is not going to
That's
waver.
not going to break Basusu.
No.
Not going to break or waver Basusu now. And those ancients are now 50% on the hill, so I think the mortars may or may not be able to draw line of sight. I think they probably will, because that'll make it 5. That'll make it height 5, so they will be able to see it. Yeah.
And you're going to beat him up.
Those ancients might have a bad time. Then again, I guess Basusu can just peace out and go hit whatever he wants.
Basically, yeah.
I'd guess the tyrants.
And the battle captain has powered through 1 wound onto those obsidian golems. So there's a big old moral victory right there for Steven. That a hindered guy with three attacks. Take that, you stupid rock. Yep.
Dumb rock.
So Steven can still actually pull this off because obviously he's gunning for that center point. So he picks it up with his ancients, turns them, and just starts hauling ass to the left.
Right.
Yeah.
Just run your 8 inches every turn as fast as you can.
If the tyrants and the 2 monsters can just somehow hold on for a while.
That is 8 hits from the greater fire elemental on 8 dice.
How many wounds?
Well, it was 8 hits.
Crushing a billion, so it's not
8 hits.
But
vicious
so 5
too, right?
wounds. 5 wounds.
yeah. And then the 3 vicious rerolls for 2 more, so that's 7 wounds.
Yeah. So he's up to 9.
Yeah. I don't know what that was.
That was too many dice.
Yeah.
8
And
and
7.
7.
Dead.
Dead.
Yeah.
Good job. Greater fire elemental.
All right. Okay.
So there's a 50-50 coin flip that finally went Steven's way.
Yeah.
This is it. Everything's turning around right here. Turn 3.
Wow.
Everything's going to come up Steven from here on.
Let's rub it in.
All right. And I think we still just have the Tyrants combat left.
Yeah, I think so.
The already badly wounded Black Souls.
Yeah.
Steven might just be taking a minute to relish the fact that he just got an actual
compose himself.
Close combat powered through.
Get a brown paper bag out.
All right. We're in this. We can do this.
I'm emotionally invested.
Uh-oh. Yeah, it's a game again, right? So
right.
It was looking pretty bleak after that last turn.
How about I unmute myself? If he does get the ancients behind that building to hide from the mortars and the decimators, then the big threat is this Overmaster. And he's got the ancients on the hill, which could then be the ones to also try and fight the Overmaster.
Okay.
Except the ancients on the hill are going to get shot at by the mortars, and so who knows what happens there.
At this point, though, I think he'd want that. Because the tyrants are what are going to be critical here, so... Well, they're going to probably combo charge.
The obsidian golems can't get the ancients behind the building if the ancients do, in fact, get there. Like, we're all assuming that that's what Steve's going to do, but maybe he won't. Like, maybe he's got some other plan in mind. But so really then the game comes down to, Basusu and the Overmaster, getting in that thing. Because the golems, even if they were, they're just too jammed up and they're too slow to get all the way around and into charge range.
Yeah, because Basusu can't kill the ancients.
Maybe after
13, two big turns he could.
You do 2 turns and roll, like the way things have been going. I wouldn't.
And it looks like they're now checking what Basusu's options might be for next turn before he decides what to do with those ancients altogether. Or actually those tyrants altogether.
And the hex casters can come up and cast weakness on the ancients. And again, it's not a huge. It'll be chip damage. But
but they are only -13, and they do inspire themselves. But a couple turns worth of chip damage does put them in danger.
Interesting comment from Matt Croger in the chat about under this scoring, it still thinks it's now kill with tokens. I don't know what the difference between this would have been if you played kill. I don't think Tom would have played any differently. He didn't move up aggressively. He just sort of sat there and waited and shot.
Triple mortar, Abyssal Dwarves play kill. Plus maybe whatever scenario at the end.
Yeah.
Right. If there's anything left.
If your opponent's not alive to take the tokens,
there you go. Yeah.
But that's any scenario. If your opponent's not alive, they don't win the scenario.
Yeah.
You just fly your gargoyles over in turn 6 to land on an objective or whatever and call it a win.
Yeah.
All right, coming in top of 4. So what is Tom's response going to be here?
Looks like he's looking at charges there.
He's looking
So
at
the
big
Clan Lord
offset.
did a great job of locking up that one Golem unit. So they're going to be stuck killing him.
But he's also got the crystal pendant, so that's nice.
Well, it's
It's a bonus.
So the Overmaster's on the ground and he's not going anywhere.
You have to love the Crystal Pendant, Brindley. Only fans of Crystal Pendant on this cast, sorry.
Yeah, you
no,
have to,
the crystal pendant is a fantastic and hilarious item, but the problem with it in this case is the golems won't have anything hitting them in a follow-up in the turn afterwards, because the 2 units that could really follow up are going to be busy with the dragon and Basusu.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I really like the idea of giving that guy crystal pendant, just yeeting him into your opponent and seeing what happens.
That's yeah. I just remember the first time Steven did it to me, and I was just like, that sucks, because he was never a big enough threat that I ever wanted to devote any resources to countering him. But I just knew at some point he's going to jam up one of my hammer units and do, 2d6 plus 1 wound to it, and there's nothing I could do to stop him doing that, and it's irritating.
I was caught by it once, and it was one of the only gotcha moments in Kings of War I've ever had, but I couldn't help but laugh at it because the guy parked his individual in front of a horde, something like, oh, okay, cool, I'll just hit the individual, overrun into the horde, and just annihilate everything. And then I realized you can't overrun, so I was like, you know what? All right, shit, you got me. Okay.
Yeah, that's a big thing too, right? So the no overrun is super nice.
Those golems are stuck.
But it's nice to not have that overrun. That's why I used to put it on the bigot. Remember?
Yeah,
I'd
put it on occasionally.
Occasionally.
That was something you liked, but
I liked it.
I just don't like the 50 points to something that could very easily get picked off, especially in the meta nowadays where so many lists have 12 to 18 lightning. So
yeah,
it's hard to actually get into something if you go up against a list with that kind of shooting.
And the best thing you can hope for then is, well, if they're shooting at him, they're not shooting at someone else. But
right.
After a while, with the 50 points, it does become a really expensive bullet magnet.
But that's why, I guess, if you pick something that's cheap enough that it still works out to be the same price as some chaff, then it's not the end of the world if they die. Like
well, looking at his list, he had items on pretty much everything
else. He did spend a lot of money
you
in
50
the
points left over. What are you doing with it, right?
And Steven's list?
Clan Lord's got sharpness on it already.
Battle that one's great, but yeah, that dragon is a lot. Where is this list here?
335 points.
So yeah, 12 drops, 20 unit strength is on the low side.
Yeah, it did feel like he was kind of in a condensed footprint when he.
I love the thick chaff, obviously.
Yeah, I know.
The thing that I'm not sure fits too well with this list, to be honest, is the ancients, only because they have trouble keeping up. But I don't know. He's pretty efficient elsewhere, at least in terms of the rhinosaurs don't have that many points spent on items.
I mean, the thick chaff, if the only remaining piece of thick chaff keeps that Overmaster on the ground for the rest of the game,
it's worth it.
It's going to win him the game, right? It's going to win Steven the game if those ancients can get away.
Yeah, we did talk about it though. It is quite expensive for thick chaff. I mean, I guess for thick chaff, maybe not too expensive, but
it's
a thick screen. It's a thick screen. It is not.
No, it's so 150 points is probably the peak of thick chaff, because that's the point of where I'd say the range is typically about 100 to 150, and typically if you're in the 100 range, you're slow, right? You're like got your speed 6 ogre equivalents or what have you that can take a hit. And these rhinosaurs are actually pretty awesome. One of the things I like about them too is that they're height 4, so they really block everything.
Well,
yeah, I suspect, we'll talk to Steven afterwards, but I suspect that was his counter to the mortars. It was just like, I'm just going to hide everything behind my screen.
Yeah, I mean, it's all you can do, right? You hide the stuff, you just try to throw out a bunch of threats to get target saturation, and then you hope for first turn. Or at least that he would miss with the mortars.
One mortar hit this turn. Only rolled a 1 on the D3, so that's only going to be 3.
Okay.
This is on the what? Tyrants?
On the
GFA.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't see the red. Okay.
Yeah. So 3 wounds on the Greater Fire Elemental. That's not really a threat to it.
No.
Um,
So then we'll see. That's the first mortar he's rolling.
no, that was the last mortar.
Oh, the last one. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he missed with
Sorry.
the first two. So yeah, he kind of came out hot with them in the first turn, and since then he's only really been
But
getting one
even
hit
then,
per turn
hitting
with
with one, that's what you would expect. Like
Yeah.
six
it should be two,
Oh,
'cause
no,
they hit on
you'd expect
fives.
two. Yeah,
Two hits, so you would expect because they're each one's +2, right?
D3
No,
plus
no,
two.
he two dice looking for fives, and so he has
Yeah.
dice. Six
But then
dice
the
looking for
blast
fives.
is
Yeah.
D3 +2.
The Blath is a D3 plus two with shattering. So
So they did one wound
vicious.
there.
with
No, that's from the
No,
weakness.
vicious as well.
Yeah. And now a big hero surge, I'm guessing, to see if he can get those golems into
Here
Was he
comes,
not
those
here
able to
tyrants.
just walk forward?
Oh no, only two.
They were stuck behind the other golems last turn, so he sidestepped them this turn to get them out in his and was now trying to get them further up the field.
Okay, that's big then. That's really big.
Well, he was never. I
Yeah.
mean, it was always a massive Hail Mary to get them all the way into the
So
tyrants.
True.
I don't recall the exact wording of Crystal Pendant. I could just double check it here. So when he kills that clan lord, and we know he can't overrun because of the pendant, but can he not pivot at all? Can he
He
not
can
reform?
pivot. He can pivot. So he can reform or go backwards. He just cannot overrun forwards.
Yeah,
Okay.
they can regroup, but
Yeah.
they cannot move directly forward.
I was gonna say if they can't actually pivot either, that
It's just that there's like a giant explosion in your face. You can't run through the explosion.
I know, but it'd just be great to watch those tyrants nail.
Only
the-
4 wounds.
golems,
Only
but-
4 wounds on him.
So he's up to 8 now.
Yeah, but he's only 11-13, so they'll probably still get him
He
at
rolled a
10.
10.
Expired,
Yeah.
So they pop him.
Oh, he's not
Pendant, pendant,
He
pendant,
does not
pendant.
inspire. Yep. So there's going to be a pendant detonation over here on
I'm
these
here.
Oh,
golems.
2d4. Okay. Oh no, so that was the nerve roll, was it? 10.
That was a new
that was-
roll.
Yeah,
That was the nerve roll.
Someone
yeah.
that would have been
roll.
juicy.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Hey,
Get me
bada,
in
bada,
there.
bada, 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 bada.
Red
What's he
Goblin
gonna
Blast
do?
is one of my favorite units in the game.
Yes.
Kind of shit
Oh,
right
okay,
here.
8 is just one above average, but I don't know. It looked like a big number for a moment.
And that's what, piercing 3,
Piercing 3, I think. So only
So-
4.
Yeah, yeah.
4 wounds.
4 wounds.
Only
The
4.
thing I can see Steven trying to do now is he's got 2 options really. One is he tries to kill off the wounded golems, assuming he doesn't just try to type the devastators with or do.
You got to type the devastators. I think you got to type the devastators.
because the fire elemental can already do that.
Decimators even.
The problem though is he's trying to buy time, right? So does he even want to charge in the tyrants, or does he just want to get in front of both hordes?
I think if he gets the Greater Fire Elemental and the Tyrants into the Decimators, they're a good chance to pop. Because the Tyrants are an absolute blender against lower defense units, right?
They are weakened, though, right?
I think Bazuzu did 1 wound to the Ancients there, so they are fine. And
They're
now
living
the
life.
Overmaster on the Thick Chaff.
Because the
Five.
Decimators are
And
defense
Snake
4.
Eyes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there he goes.
I don't know.
Well, I think he needed something like a 10.
You need a 10, yeah. So if you're going to roll Snake Eyes once in the game,
Yeah, do it on
not
that,
terrible
right?
time
Well,
to
that's
do
like
it,
when
yeah.
you know you roll Snake Eyes turn 1, you're like, oh, you get that
Sounds
out of my
like-
dice.
Yeah. Because this
Now
is
the
where he would
Decimators
want
beating
it.
up on the Captain on Rhinosaur, whatever that thing's called.
Yes,
Uh,
a Rhinosaur.
14 hits, but only 3 wounds.
Wow.
And a 10. Ooh, that
That's
10 will
gone.
probably get him. Yep.
Yeah, that'll
Yep.
do it.
I
Yeah.
guess, yeah, he wants to go all out on kill that unit. I don't know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
He's got the tokens on there.
Yeah, you got
screw
all
the
out, kill
golems,
that
kill those
unit,
guys.
and then turn around because then you gratify. Like then you've got because if his ancients grab the center token and then move over towards the building to hide from the mortars, which probably won't happen as quickly as we want, although they won't be able to see over the decimators.
Yep.
So, geez, Stephen may scrape this out. I mean, he probably won't. Like, let's
Well,
be real.
Yeah, Tom's a fantastic player. So I was
Yeah.
thinking I thought it might be a mistake if he tries to back up the decimators or keep them where they are, keep them even front, because then the mortars can't actually hit anything if they're too close.
Yeah.
So just running them up like this forces the fight to happen.
Oh, I'm so excited now. I feel like I'm more engaged.
Yeah, dice are going to be a big deal next to the wall.
All right, so it's bottom of 4. Okay.
Yeah, bottom of 4. Now I feel like I gotta cheer for Steven more because he's like a little bit of an underdog after all that stuff died.
So
Yeah.
And
Anytime
Tom's
you win
starting
the
to much.
game with like 1 unit remaining.
Oh my gosh, if he wins it with like all that's left is the Ancients with like 3 tokens, I will
With 3
lose
tokens
my
hiding behind
mind.
the building.
I won a push scenario against a very similar list to this once, and all I had left was a beast pack on an objective. So that was my 70 points of victory because he just never left his deployment zone. Yeah.
All right, so after killing the captain, he walked the decimators all the way forward. So now the tyrants really have no choice but to
Yeah.
beat up on some decimators. Do you throw the fire elemental into them too, just for the hell of it in good measure?
I
or
would
do you try to do
consider,
something
I
else?
would consider
throw
the
the fire
fire. What are the
elemental.
arcs on the fire elemental? He can either go into the lesser wounded golems or the
Yep.
decimator. I would send him into the decimators to help out.
Just go all in.
Because if the tyrants were the only unit going into the decimators, devastators, whatever they're called,
Yeah.
the golems can double charge with them, I think. I don't know how much that building prevents them shifting over. So you'd want to try to block up the other one, which aren't in his arc anyway.
Even if the fire elemental goes into those golems, I mean, yeah.
It's just
We'll see.
you want to try to commit to taking all these objectives, and you stick them on the fire elemental.
All right, I'll be right back, guys.
All right. Can the fire
That
elemental
fire
even get there?
is very hard to take
he'll have
down.
to- yeah, I guess if you charge the tyrants out of the way first and they come to the center of the decimator unit, then you might be able to turn the fire elemental enough to get by them to get to the golems. But like, he's not going to kill the golems this go.
No.
But also, if he kills the decimators with the 2 of them, you can
Yep.
give the tokens to the fire elemental, and he can just peace out.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas,
No, this,
and then just let your other unit die.
I love this play because even if he doesn't kill them and shit goes just terribly, he's still protecting the ancients. They can't get shot by the mortars. The golems can't get to them.
Yep.
The dragon can't get to him as long as he sits it down. Even then, I think the fact he's on the hill means it can't see anything.
The fact that the ancients on the hill are only height 5, and if the Overmaster is height 6,
Right.
he should be able to see over. Let me double check that real quick.
No, I think you're right.
Overmaster, he is height 6. Yeah, standard dragon height. I don't know. I mean, yeah.
That's I believe in it.
Yeah, if he does this here and he puts the tokens on the fire elemental and like they just run and hide, because certainly like after this turn, like the mortars have a clear target, right? Like if he puts both tokens on the fire elemental, they will certainly open up on it with everything they've got.
They'll start shooting at him a lot, but at the same time, he's got nerve, and depending on which way he faces it during the reform, he could just run 10 out of the way, get out of all of their arcs.
Yeah, exactly.
And the golem can't catch up, right?
Yeah, if he makes it a turn, and even if he doesn't make it a turn, he shoots it to death. Tom then still has to actually get a unit over there to pick them up, which means the golems have to get through the tyrants.
Yeah,
Mind you,
no one will
dragons get away.
better for him.
Yeah, 2 golem hordes should take out those tyrants, but you never know.
Looks like he's trying to line it up so that he can take a double move
And
next
run,
turn.
right?
So he's got to be able to miss the forest.
I think he's gonna perfectly get. Oh, that's I don't know.
Serendipitous.
That's tough.
All right.
I wonder if they're saying he's got it, because that'd be picking pretty close corners to say you can't fit there.
Well, that's also so
That's
shitty if
beautiful
you
if
can't
he can
even
pull
fit
it
a
off.
regiment through there.
It's whatever.
Well, you're one of
Some
them.
of these custom made maps on UB, like I noticed this one, I'm not a big fan of because the terrain is massive.
Well, it's
I love
also we talked
don't
about
mind
having the 2 impassable on the left-hand side kind of cuts the board down as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean they basically just played on this 2/3 to the right.
And I don't think Stephen has very much Pathfinder at all.
Which is kind of
No.
surprising. I thought
So,
Salamanders
I
had
can
That's
one.
the
see
one
very
unit with
much-
macros. Yeah.
You guys were talking earlier about how he deployed all on one side, but I think he just had to. That's the only open space on the table he can actually fit units through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
Sure.
Tom, I'm guessing, won the role for table sides because he's got a very open deployment zone.
Yeah, he won the roll for table sides and he won the roll for first turn.
Yeah.
And he had more
And-
units, so he didn't care about going first.
All the good guys keep losing this stuff.
Right.
I'm kidding, I'm a bad
and,
guy.
and he has all that shooting to throw at him. So like, yeah, like Tom
Oh, what are we
definitely.
doing?
This is that Basusu on the
Oh, it's against Basusu, I
That's
think.
ancients, yeah.
Ancients against
Ancient on
Basusu. Yeah.
Basusu?
3 more wounds and a 9. That's a waiver, isn't it? No, that's one short of a waiver, I think. No, I think that does
No, 15 should do it.
Waiver!
Yeah.
14, 16. So that is a waiver.
That's awesome for him.
As a waiver on Basusu. Which,
I will-
years of playing Basusu the Vile as an Abyssal player, Basusu would get wavered in combat and not be able to countercharge because Basusu was not actually an Abyssal, did not have Fury, was an Abyssal Dwarf, and had Vicious instead. So, and now has neither special rule, right? Doesn't even have Vicious anymore.
He's put some wins on the Overmaster too.
All right. That's really all he's got to do is...
Yeah, he had to ground that. Didn't kill it, but, not surprised.
He
Doesn't
shouldn't
matter.
He doesn't need
He's
to.
probably
He
not
can
gonna
ground
be
it.
left for another 2
is already
turns.
fantastic. So
And here come the Tyrants on the Decimators.
And they're on
So-
3s, right?
yeah.
So that's
So
20 hits?
20 hits. They are weakened.
Oh, this is the sharpness.
They're weakened, so they've just got
Oh.
crushing 1. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
gonna be
8
bad.
wounds.
are
Is that
you
8?
serious?
Are they not vicious?
Aren't they defense 5?
They're defense 4.
They're defense 4 and he's crushing 2,
Okay.
but weak. So
Oh, weakened. Okay.
So he's up to
But the
13?
Decimators are defense 4. Okay.
well, he still has
Check
the
out that
fire
roll.
element.
Yeah.
Check out that
Fire
roll.
Yeah. So that's more UB dice.
No,
And
I
it looks
don't
like
think.
this is probably the elemental. Oh, those 3 rolls were the effigy of fire. That's what that was. That was a reroll for effigy of fire.
Okay.
So he picked up 1 more wound there with effigy of fire. And then that's probably going to be 6 wounds chipped in by the
Yeah.
elemental. That's going to bring him
Oh,
to a total of
That
19.
elemental is an absolute boss.
And
Oh.
Snake Eyes. Oh my god.
Oh my
no
gosh.
fucking way.
That is huge.
No!
Okay, that's
Oh man.
Actually, so what this means is that the mortars can't shoot the ancients, right? And the
Yeah.
well,
the
yeah,
decimators, the decimated.
they wouldn't have been able to see them no matter what because the tyrants would have been in the way.
Depending on how he maneuvered, but yeah,
Man.
okay.
So I
yeah.
thought the mortars would be firing at the ancients this turn because of Basusu being wavered, but I think now it's very clear he wants to light up the elemental,
Yeah.
and then that flank is gonna. Oh, it sucks.
Okay, on to the top of 5.
So this is where I'd flip the table personally. That's just me.
Yeah, he's only
I'm-
down by 1,000 points, right? So clearly he had the double ones coming.
No, that would have been so awesome for him. He got it. Someone buy
Yep.
Stephen a beer. I
Yeah,
don't know what
seriously.
time it is in Australia, but
It is 9:35 a.m. on a Sunday.
it is 5 p.m. somewhere.
Yeah, so Decimated Horde 21-23. He got it down to needing a 4 twice. And snaked it. That's going to be huge.
That's
And just when
And
Steven was
even
finally
if he-
getting some momentum, has a path to victory.
It means
That's-
that one of the
Even the
golems
waiver would have
can't
been so
flank him.
key, right?
So-
if he'd wavered them, they're screwed.
Yeah. So those tyrants are going to get flanked by the outside golems. The inside golems can't do much. The
They can
inside
combo
golems,
charge, I think.
They might
I
be
don't
able
know
to.
that they can.
No,
Oh, they
there's
can
no
go to the
space.
front.
What do you
to the
mean? He
front.
just slides down
Yeah,
because those ones are in the
yeah.
front.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. They're flanked.
They're both flanked.
I was
There's
wrong.
not enough room in
Yeah,
the flank.
no, that's right.
Ah,
Unless he charges the fire elemental,
Elemental and
forward,
slides
then it'd
over
be
with
spacing
that.
them both.
He's going to
a
want to
flank
shoot
of-
that
a flank
fire
of
elemental.
golems is going to kill you. Like there's
Yeah.
no even a hindered flank, which it will probably be moved up and then
Is there,
surge.
yeah, wounding on 2s, re-rolling 1s.
It's interesting where he's moved to Basusu. Does that close off that flank from being charged into the tyrants?
That possibly screws up a double charge. Yeah.
What screw?
He would just undo it though if he needed to.
Is
Sure.
Basusu just going ancient hunting? Is that what he's setting up for?
Oh, he's moved to
Well,
the tape,
yeah.
which means he can't undo. So that's a interesting technical limitation.
Yeah, but he knows
I
what
know. We know
what
where
movement
he
he
was.
made.
Yeah.
He disengaged and he used the individual noble pivot and then he backed up. So
Yeah.
he can put it back.
I see what you're trying to do, Taz. I get it. I'm not judging you.
Ted's trying to be like, ha, you can't go back.
Yeah.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah.
And here comes the counter charge on the fire elemental, which means we will likely see
Oh,
a
yes,
double
I know.
flank charge here, unless Tom just realized that he needs to move Pazuzu and just started hitting undo and is now realizing that it won't work because he touched a ruler. Man, talk about just not being able to catch a break
Yeah.
in a match.
Kudos to him for almost having like a locked-in win despite being down 1,000 points.
Yeah. And he still could
He still
theoretically
has.
sneak out the
There's
win.
very much still a game in this.
He is still
Yeah.
technically winning right now, right? Like,
Yep.
if anything lives to sneeze at those decimators, they're going to drop.
And it's hard to see the decimators surviving, because I
The
mean the
next
GFE
card,
might
yeah.
get killed by the GFE might get killed by the mortars though.
Because the elemental should survive the mortars, and it should be able to kill that stuff. Although he's not inspired anywhere, right?
He's inspired
Or
by the
ancients
right?
inspire.
The ancients are
Yeah.
inspiring,
Yeah.
And I think now he's just realized that the
He's
Pazuzu
realized
shouldn't
what
be
the-
there. So, and put it back manually. But it does look like the ancients do just have line of arc of sight on the decimators. So
Oh,
I was thinking that if you wanted to grab all the toys, but then you get golems, and it's hard
Yeah.
to see.
I want to see one unit carry 5 tokens. They're all just arms full of loot. Like, let's get out of here.
it's just like
that's
penguin
a-
walking away.
Oh,
'cause
hell
they're so
yeah.
heavy.
that's a couple of
But it
big
is a little risky
big
'cause
regen
these
rolls there by Tom, taking I think it was 3 wounds off Suzu, and then another 3 wounds back off of the Overmaster.
The Overmaster, yeah.
Overmaster is regen?
Yes,
I hope so.
and on top of everything else.
I hope so. He just rolled it.
Pass doesn't
Yeah,
sound
Region 5.
sour at all.
That's.
I just, yes. I
Yeah.
don't know if
Yeah.
they did a great amount of. I'm sure they play tested and whatever else, but it's just too many toys.
My guess is they kept playing Abyssal Dwarves against armies that are only defense 6 or only defense 2. And they're like, yeah, this crushing 2 vicious. It's not that great.
So that Golem Horde decided to go forward into the Rhinosaur Regiment. They came out of terrain, and they do not have Pathfinder, unlike the Earth Elementals, so they will be hindered.
Weird.
But still,
I
they
don't
already
think
have
it.
5 wounds on them.
So he's just going to shift to the side to get the other ones to flank. Okay.
And now we play the UB angles.
So I don't know if he's potentially. I guess he's just relying on the mortars to hit that fire elemental,
Yeah, I think that's what his plan is.
rather than try to hit it in melee with the decimators.
Is he trying to line up a surge flank charge? That's just showing off at this point, dude. What do you
What
doing?
I would do is countercharge.
Yeah, he's already got it if he
fire.
goes straight. Isn't he just going to hit them?
Countercharge. Oh no, you don't want to. You don't want. It's tough to
He
rely on.
also he could simply back up the decimators and just shift to the side. He's got withdrawal available.
Yeah, well, he already withdrew an inch, but didn't move them otherwise. I'm not sure.
That's
Yeah,
what
but
I
yeah, he
mean.
could
Is all he has to do
sidestep.
is shift over, and he's got plenty of room to get in there.
Oh, I hope he
Yeah.
does it as a surge flank and then like misses all of it. Like just like
that'd
you
be
be the show off, Tom. You be take your
Oh.
mud and filth.
Unless
That's
he's doing
the
that because
Texas
he's.
way.
I suspect maybe he's going to wait to see what the mortars do and then roll the surge so that he can have the option of maybe shooting the mortars at tyrants.
Yeah.
If he
This
starts
is
shooting
the
at the
hardest-
earth elemental or at the
This
fire
is the
elemental,
hardest
like
Thomas had to think all game, though. Interestingly, like everything else has been a bit of a doddle for him. You know, he just sits and waits and just shoots at stuff, and now he's having to actually sort of make target selection
So
choices. and
he's
stuff like that.
actually going for a 3-inch surge. Oh my! How many
On
surge sources does he
8.
have? Just one, right?
he's got 8 surge dice, I think.
Oh, I'm so ready for this.
Oh, man.
Here comes 2
8 surge
successes.
dice with Conjurer's Staff, though, right?
So
Oh yeah, he might have conjure staff.
so he's going for
Yeah, he
the
does.
Komodo. I don't know what's going on.
Yep.
I'm hoping something bad's gonna happen to Tom. But I love Tom, but sorry.
No, he's just testing out every option.
Well, Steven getting the double ones really sucks for him, so
Yes, it does. Because that gives Tom this opportunity to sit back and think like, okay, I got this turn to play with. I'm going to rescue my
Imagine how
dragon.
much the game would change with the Greater Fire Elemental having those 2 tokens on them, sitting behind the tyrants.
That
Yeah.
elemental's MVP though.
Wow.
Out of 16 attacks on 4s, it's done 14 wounds.
Yeah.
So
It didn't help his train though.
He made a mistake with it early, which I'm going to grill him over.
on the
So-
elemental?
Yeah, he used it to do a breath attack instead of charging it in.
Ah. It's
Early,
not
like
Agni
turn 2 or
Banu
something.
anymore.
Yeah.
With the
See,
piercing
that's the
4
one.
vicious.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah. I loved that unit. I was so sad when they did take that out, right? It's gone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be in the nature list, but it's not. It's not.
Cass,
in
I'm
there,
guessing you and Steven are like friends in real life.
Sort of. I've met him a couple times. As in
Okay,
literally
okay.
twice. He's turned up to tournaments, and I've played a. No, he's turned up to one tournament, and I've played a couple of in tabletop games with him. But since the coronavirus stuff, because he just moved back to Australia, I've been playing some games with him on UB and stuff because he's local. But yeah.
All right.
Well, how long has
First
he
mortar
been
shoots at
playing
the
for?
Greater Fire Elemental. Second mortar shoots and misses onto the third mortar, and only one hit from the third mortar. So 2,
He's
so
been
that's
playing
going
for
to be
years.
4.
He's been
Yeah.
playing for years. Yeah.
4
right.
wounds.
Only 4 wounds on the Greater Fire Elemental, bringing it up to a total of 7.
Okay. So it should be fine.
Should be fine.
I think
With the
they're
dash
dash
18,
18. Yeah.
he needs an 11 twice with the Ancients back there inspiring them. I think they're okay this turn.
He has a gorgeous samurai sort of Kingdoms of Men army.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
just like, so you can see with his UB units how he's put all this effort into making them look good. And so his hobby is at a pretty similar level in real as well. Yeah, they just look really cool.
Yeah.
So I've never, like, he has a salamander army as well, but I've never seen it. I've only ever seen him bring his samurai army.
Yeah. Salamanders seem really good in third.
Oh,
Ooh.
What do you do? It's
He's
fine,
casting
right?
weakness.
Tell me it's
it's
fine.
Hexcaster.
Okay.
The Hexcasters or one of them is casting weakness anyway.
Yeah.
For another wound, puts it up at 8. Still in pretty good shape though.
Mhm.
And now the Surge. Looking for 3 successes on 8 dice here.
Oh, here comes a conjurer
Two!
staff.
2.
Here comes a
Conjure Staff
yeah.
gets
There's a conjurer staff
6.
does it.
Oh
Yeah.
no. Actually, you can't say that.
They said I was allowed to swear on here.
Oh wow.
Love you, Tom.
Yep. Just with
So
the staff.
he's really
Oh, he got
regretting.
it. No, he got it. Conjure staff.
Yeah, with a Conjurer Staff roll they did. So once again,
Oh.
another coin flip.
Another
that
coin
goes
flip goes
Tom
his way.
ways.
Although, to be honest, it shouldn't be a
Yeah.
coin flip.
Effective surge 9. You'd hope you can get at least 3.
You really should. You really
I was
should.
hoping for 0 surge. Would have been so
I was surprised that he didn't move over the decimators. That was the thing that caught me off.
Well, if you're paying
Yeah.
for surge, I guess he just wants to use
You
it.
want to use it. That's fair.
So that
Does
would
he
be a
not
nerve
have,
check on the Greater
injury?
Fire Elemental, and a 7 is not going to
It
do it.
won't need it there, but
And now moving on to combat. So we'll see which one he does first. I think he's got an awful lot of guys piled onto the thick chaff, which I think is this is going to be it. This is going to be it for the thick chaff.
they're going to be
There's-
fine.
So there's the Overmaster doing 5 wounds, putting him
5
up to
wounds.
10. And now
Oh.
the Golem's in the flank.
6
Hindered, of
hits.
course, so only hit 6 times. And Vicious reroll. Yep, that's 1, 2,
6
3,
wounds.
4. What, another
Any
5,
hit
6
that
wounds.
gets through is going to.
And Snake
And
Eyes.
double one.
Snake eyes.
Another Snake Eyes.
Thick chaff!
Oh my gosh.
All about the
Yeah.
thick chaff.
Oh no. So which is the more significant double ones? The decimators or this one?
I'd say the decimators.
I would
But
say
I don't
this
know.
one.
both of
dragon,
these,
that
both of
dragon
these
being
are
tied
key,
up.
though. I don't
That
know. It's hard
dragon
to
being
say
tied up for one more round means because the dragon
And-
could fly into the rear of the ancients, right?
because it
Right.
could have overran a couple inches, and then even if he runs 8 with the ancients, I think he still might have been able to catch him. I
Yeah,
don't know
he
what
was
the
good.
threat range
But
is.
now
there.
if he grounds the dragon for the top of turn 6, it's doing nothing.
So
in Tom's
he
turn.
is 15 wounds, which is not devastated, right?
It's not
Right on the
devastated
point.
because it is right
Not
on its
devastated.
nerve.
So that's what he needed to be able to ground it reliably. Wow.
And then the other ancients get through Basusu theoretically this turn.
Potential.
And then,
Well,
He
I
regened
don't
a whole
know.
lot.
regenning
that's
the wounds that they did last turn back. I don't know.
Yeah.
He got
All they want to do is waver him,
Half
though,
of them.
right?
It's really all they need to do. I mean, it would be
Yeah.
better if they were freed up to do anything else, like get in the way of some golems or something like that. But
Well, couldn't they overrun through Basusu and hit the whatchamacallit with the 5 wounds?
they could. They
So,
could.
so my prediction here for what might happen, assuming the golems just blow through.
They're asking if they're devastated, Mike.
I don't think they are, since they're tied with
Reading is
their
that
nerf.
they're not.
Yeah, we agree. And clearly, my opinion matters a lot. So
So that's going to be 17 hits on the Tyrants.
Ashley can say she's been to Masters, so she's basically a top tier player.
you leave me alone.
You're really good in spirit.
So savage. Okay, so no real surprise. Those golems took.
Yeah, well, I mean, after the double ones, he had to have something go his way that turn, because, I mean, come on. But
Well,
I still
he's had a
think,
lot
though,
go his way, so maybe he
Did
could
he-
do with the turn with some bad luck.
if he puts himself in line of sight of the fire elemental, I don't think the ancients could get in anyway.
Oh, interesting.
He's out of
This
line
is
of
going
sight
to
of
make for a
them.
very stressful last turn.
So
for
that's why he
were
didn't
in-
shift over. Probably, right?
they were in sight, but then when he withdrew with the
Yeah.
decimators, that took him out of line of sight.
So that's why he had to go for the surge. I was gonna say it doesn't make sense to me that Tom would make a mistake.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well,
So Fire Elemental just wants to continue being MVP.
Go fire elemental.
And
So with the fire elemental, do you take the decimator tokens or do you charge the golems?
you take the
I would
tokens and you
kill
walk
the
forward to make the
decimators.
golem's turn and come
yeah,
after
kill the
you.
decimators and pick up the tokens.
And then make him
Walk.
pick. He's either gonna have to go after the fire
Well-
elemental or the ancients, I guess.
So the problem
Exactly.
though is assuming that Tom kills the elemental, assuming it has the tokens, he gets to pick up both on his turn 6. And if he shuffles, I don't think he can get across the half, but in turn 7, if he gets across the half, that wins the game.
They have to get completely across too, right?
Yeah.
So.
If the greater fire elemental goes forward after killing the decimators, theoretically,
Mhm.
will he be within 12 inches
12.
of the mortars?
3, 6,
I think
9,
it
12.
Would
Depends on how
be-
far forward he walks.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Depends on how far he
Okay.
walks.
Because he
Means you
only
get
has
like
to
a
have
3.
part of his base within 12.
That's right.
Also,
right,
keep in
so-
mind the line of sight. I think he could get out of the 2 on the right, maybe.
Maybe.
That's also depending how far it goes. Okay.
Right. He wants a good like 3+ overrun, I think, to get within 12.
Man, those ancients are so slow.
I feel like I'm watching snails. Just not the players, the
So the
ancients
fire
just
elemental
crawl.
blocks up the golems for 1 turn, which is what he really needs to do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If he gets a big enough overrun, he forces the golems to surge after him to catch up and get those tokens, which is clutch because then he can't cross, and so the ancients have the 3.
Or what you could do is leave the fire elemental where it is and turn to face the golems and take the golems in the front, which means then that then he'll shoot at the ancients, though, won't he? Yeah, because
He'll
have
shoot at
line
the
of sight.
ancients, and the
Mhm.
decimators could simply,
No,
they
that'd
couldn't
be dead.
combo
I'm assuming
charge.
they're dead in this. I'm assuming the decimators are dead in this. Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, he's just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it looks like the ancients are still within arc of sight for the mortars in the back.
Yeah.
All 3 mortars? Okay.
All 3 mortars, looks like.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, and the golems are certainly close enough to be able to get to them. If those ancients had normal linked legs, not little dwarf-sized legs, maybe they'd be able to get a little further away.
Hobbling along.
Hey, they're doing their best. They're a little stumpy. It's fine.
They're
Okay, we
doing
don't
their
judge
best.
people for being short here.
They're old, is the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
They're
they're old.
old
All right,
and stumpy.
they're ancients.
Yeah, they're
right.
ancients. They're the old ones. So they're just like, they're
They
canny.
got
and
their
they're
cane.
Yeah.
They've been around the Facebook pages. They've seen the dwarf page. They know what's up.
Yeah.
They're really good at grumbling.
Back in the day, they used to have to do this uphill both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole field was just hills. All right, so we got some combat here onto the
Yeah.
Overlord.
37 hits.
7 hits, yeah, and
Another
5
3 wounds at least.
3 wounds.
I know
They're
five
Crush
wounds.
1 Thunderous too, right?
Crush one.
The crush
Yeah, yeah.
one, yep. So Puts him up at 9. Probably not going to get him with 7. No. What?
16. Is the
Right, that's a
Overmaster one of the
waiver.
guys that's
7,
lower?
17,
yeah,
19.
16,
That is
18,
a
right?
waiver.
Or
That is
Rhinester's
big.
brutal.
That's
They're
nice.
brutal, aren't they?
No, I don't think so.
Right.
As the thickest of chaff, I think they have brutal.
They do not have
have
brutal.
So that's what did it.
Rhinester's
So 17, 19.
Huh.
Yep, brutal.
Nice.
You're right.
Psychiatric chaff.
And now here, beating up on Basuzu. Looks like the Ancients did a couple wounds.
And-
Dice
with
are
the
definitely
feet.
turning against Tom in the last turn or so, hey?
That double one's on the decimators. If
Ever
he-
since then, though.
if he had gotten sure.
And there's a 12 and a 5, so that will
Five
get
will
rid of
do
the
it, yeah.
decimators finally.
Okay,
Take the
so
thing
Now what does he do with them?
he's got to overrun 6. He's got to
But
get.
then someone said in the
You
chat,
don't pick up the tokens. You leave the tokens where they are.
Yeah.
You turn and face the golems and make them decide whether
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
going to kill you or go the
Because
wrong way to pick them up.
If you overrun forward, you're only a chance to avoid getting shot at.
Right.
Whereas if
and
you
Uh,
you
turn-
also open up the flank of
So-
the rear of the
Right.
ancient.
So
The
so
problem,
you
though-
turn to face the golems to protect the rear of your ancients. You don't bother picking up the tokens because he has no other scoring unit over there to
that's-
get them
yeah.
except
Yeah, I
those
completely
golems. Right.
forgot about that. Yeah,
So
he
you
ran
make the
forward.
golems
then
slide the
ancient-
wrong way.
No, you guys are right. You're really right.
Interesting. So if he just turns to face the golems, do the golems
Mhm.
have a flank on him? They do, don't they?
So what I could see happening, yeah, he could figure out a flank pretty much no matter what just by surging. Oh wait,
He's
no, he
taking
can't
the
back
Oh,
up.
he's supposed to pick them up.
I would leave those
So-
on the ground.
The thing about this
Oh, he's looking
Okay.
at the winning.
is Tom could well if he gets close enough, then he's got guaranteed either 3 or 4 points. But if Tom then rear charges the ancients, that's 6. There's no coming back from that.
So he's definitely got to protect the rear.
Yeah, Mike was right.
But I guess
I,
Tom
think
gets to
if you let your opponent decide where to put the push tokens, he could put them anywhere he wants. So he sticks
Underneath
them on the
your
ground
footprint.
next to the golems, backs up, and then just surges in after picking them up. Is that how that would work?
You can't search somebody carrying tokens.
What I mean is, so say if he put them just an inch above the obsidian golems, when he lines up with the elemental, he'd pick them up at the end of the
Oh, you
turn.
mean after combat if he kills them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing though is, if he
this-
kills the elemental, is he across the halfway mark? No.
No,
No, they're-
nobody's over the halfway mark yet.
No, that's what they're measuring. They've got the measuring
Yeah,
tape.
I'm just saying, like otherwise you're giving him.
So if those ancients, so they already ran. So turn 6, they run again. Turn 7, they can actually get across. Actually, even turn 6, he could if he pivots and just.
He
So
just needs
how-
to pivot and hug the wall of that house.
This is mine.
Hug the fuzzy wall, man. I don't know.
He has to get entirely across. So yeah, he does have to like turn and face the wall.
Elias is saying you have to pick up the tokens. That's interesting.
What?
Interesting. Okay.
I'm going to
Fine,
the rules.
Be
Is that some
smart.
weird third edition thing? You didn't used to have to.
No, I don't recall it changing.
You gonna make me go get a book, Elliot? I'll get a book. I'll do it.
No, I've read the rules and Elliot is correct. Far out.
Oh,
I don't like saying this, but Elliot, you are correct.
that's
It
interesting.
happens.
They
Occasionally.
have to be distributed anywhere amongst the unit that was in contact. So
Interesting.
I'm so sad
you
this
have to pick them up.
here to see your goldfish wine glass.
I like
Sure
my
he wants
goldfish.
units. Yeah, because I actually did a somewhat clever thing in my game this round where I killed a unit that was carrying 2 tokens with 2 different units on like turn 5 or 6 or something like that. And I put 1 token on each of those units and then turned them to face what he had left, which was only 1 unit that was certainly going to kill one of them. And I'm like, you can get 1 of your tokens back, but I'm still going to have 1 of yours and mine, so I'll still win.
So it's funny, with all of the back and forth and all of the hoo-ha, this game is going to come down to do Tom's mortars hit, which has
Yeah.
been their game the entire game.
Yeah.
they've been pretty cold for the last few turns.
So is this
But
where
it's
they
just-
come back?
So-
hot? So we're on the
Yeah.
top of 6 now.
I'm kind
Now
of
it's
curious
obviously-
too. So, assuming those ancients were able to walk up and hug the house,
Oh my!
Oh,
what?
all the
But
wounds.
the regen,
Oh, did he
Yeah.
seriously just regen everything?
One, every
Yeah, he
single
regen.
one.
Oh,
hot regen roll for Susan there, but
You've got a
well,
tough.
you know what? But
You've got a good player,
Susan
and he's
can't
lucky.
charge
It's-
Yeah.
the ancients though. So
And he's still grounded.
He
The
gets
thing
more
about an
points. That's
individual
about it.
that always has that speed 10 though is he can just pretty much combo charge into whatever he wants.
All right.
I'm no longer sure what's
So what
MVP
does
for
Tom
Steven.
decide to do with the obsidian golems? He's rolled the regen. What move order did he give them? A charge, I guess.
Oh, he didn't. That was Suzu's regen, I thought.
Yeah.
Oh.
Season.
Yeah, Overmaster's wavered, so it's just gonna probably
Just gonna
be
chill.
useless the rest of the game, right?
Right,
Just look
right.
cute.
So Roger.
He probably stays where he is just so he can keep trying to project threat.
See, you're supposed to do your move and then roll your regen.
I think it's because a lot of people forget their regen.
Yeah, it's just that it does change what you might do. But anyway.
I mean,
Oh,
that's
that's
fair
true.
too.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's why one of the things I find wild charge can get a little iffy depending on how many things are potentially combo charging. Because you're supposed to do them one at a time, right?
So there's
So
a
No,
it'd be
fight
you,
like
you roll all of
so
your wild
kills
charges
it.
at the beginning of your move phase. It's fine.
Yeah.
all of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's in the fact.
So if he kills that fire elemental and backs up enough, I'm still not certain whether he can get all the way out or all the way onto his side of the table. Which
No,
would mean
because
it would
3
still-
inches, that's not going to put him across, I don't think.
doesn't look like it.
He just goes for turn 7 at that point.
Yeah, but then
Or
turn-
he faces the ancients and just tries to kill them.
Elliot, what
Because
are you
if they're
doing
gonna
up
hug the
until
wall, then he can flank
1
them,
a.m.?
right?
Watching the end of this
Yeah.
riveting match where we see if Steven can manage to pull victory out of just nothing but bad luck and no breaks an entire game.
So the
But hey, top of turn 6, he's winning with all the tokens. So
and the attrition has only gone back his way so far since turn 3.
true, but
Yeah,
that's
he
because
hasn't,
pretty
he
much
hasn't lost
his
anything.
his
Yeah,
army's
nothing
basically
to
already
lose.
he
dead.
didn't have much to lose.
Nothing's dying. Yeah.
He didn't really have a lot left.
Yep.
Mind
Now
you,
we're
this
checking to see
turn,
how far
we
away
can
he
probably
can get.
expect
and,
a lot to happen. So, where'd Basuzan go? Just on the hill?
see if I can find her real quick. Yeah, she just disengaged and backed up, so she won't get charged on turn 7, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because she only inspires.
I think she's there to do some chip damage on
Only
the ancients.
gargoyles
Maybe
might
if the
kill you.
ancients go fully behind the thing, Basuzu can fly in and do whatever damage.
on a turn 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if only one mortar hits and they don't pick it up, this is good. Can't pick up the tokens, but can make them drop them.
I see
looks
him
like
measuring how far he could go 4 inches, but I wonder if Tom's cluing in that he could just turn.
Yeah, and here comes the weakness casters to do
Well,
some
he's
more
also
chip
going to
damage.
hit the house. I think it looks like he's about to hit the house.
Well, he's going to pivot
Yeah.
and then.
Yeah, he can
Even
pivot
not
once.
the last
1, 4,
turn.
4.
Yeah, he only went 7.5 because he was hitting it. So
Yeah, I mean, if those ancients are still alive, then yeah, you just walk them forward 4, turn them, and roll for turn 7.
well, you just pray for no turn 7. Yeah.
Pray for no turn 7. Well, he'd be going on the bottom, so it's his to roll.
It's just a
So
roll.
so
Yeah.
so that might end up being another coin flip that Steven will have to go his way finally. For a game that looked very one-sided for the first half of it, it's actually turned it into a bit of a nail biter here, folks.
Yep.
Steven has a very real chance of winning this game with just a few dice rolls here. And if the game ends at turn 6, like there's a super solid chance that he's going to end up winning this one.
Because this is the bottom of 6, is it?
This
No.
is the top of 6, and he
Top of
goes on the
6.
bottom.
So if Tom does lose this due to bottom of 6 being the end of it, I still think he gets like a 8.
He gets a ton of
7
bonus
point-
points.
No, more than that.
There's one
You'll
hit
get
from the
5.
first mortar. and
I
a
think he
6.
gets like an 11
One
point
hit from
loss.
the mortar,
So that's gonna
Maybe
end up
12
being
if he's holding 2 tokens.
Oh my god!
5 wounds on the ancients.
5
Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to be bad.
From the first one.
Yeah. So let's see
From
if
the
the rest
first
even.
All right.
No hits there.
No hits there. They are dash 13. No hits there.
No hits
so,
there.
Oh, wow.
So that's an 8 twice. Since they do
Yeah, then
inspire
watch
themselves.
the weakness come in. Watch the weakness. Do some more chip.
So we'll see if these MVP Hexcasters here can bring it down to like a 6. 2, 6, 7, 2, 6
2
for 2 more wounds.
Oh my god! What the fuck?
On 3
I
dice.
am
2 more wounds on a
concerned.
defense 6 units. Come on, man.
Yeah.
No wounds.
So
That puts him at a 7.
Okay.
so that's a 6 twice.
So that's a 6 twice.
Actually, 5 twice because of shattering.
5 twice because of shadow.
This is the entire game.
There's your
Once.
6.
6.
And Snake Eyes!
No way. Okay.
Yet another Snake Eyes turns the course of this game.
Wow.
Oh my god! Like some that's like the 4th Snake Eyes I think that. But
They're
3
saying
could-
third.
They're
think
saying
Third. Third that's mattered.
Yeah.
The third
Yeah,
mattered. There was
'cause
that one.
There was
that
the
we
Decimators.
There was-
There was the Snake Eyes against the Thick Chaff that's still over there, and now
Yeah.
the Ancients
There
holding the
were,
tokens.
there were low rolls, like 3s and 4s on nerve rolls, but they're not
Jeremy,
exactly
you
Snake
missed
Eyes.
it. You missed so much.
Yeah, you're gonna want to go back and watch this one.
Yeah. The thick chaff were thick.
So thick, dummy thick, I would say.
Yeah.
Football player thick. Okay?
So Snake Eyes are single-handedly keeping Steven in this right now.
Yeah, but Steven had rolls that didn't.
No, I know, I know.
earlier, so.
He's finally getting stuff going his way, but it's just hilarious. Like, people sometimes complain about it, but they're literally what's keeping this a game right now, right?
Yeah. Well, but I mean, a lot of rolls went Tom's way.
Yeah, and to be
very
honest,
early.
Yeah.
the
Oh, for
second
sure.
Snake Eyes just needed to be a 5, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
It just
he needed a
hurts worse
5
than
or
Snake
less.
Eyes.
So
Yep.
that's like a 1 in 3 chance.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And
No.
is that another Snake Eyes?
Oh my god!
That is another Snake Eyes on the Greater Fire Elemental. That means if the game ends now, that Steven will have all 5 tokens.
I don't even know what to do with myself right now.
Could not happen to a nicer guy.
Oh no.
That is incredible. And that is a
Oh, no.
devastated elemental. But
People are
he's still
so
holding the
sorry
money.
for you, Tom.
He's still holding
Is
the
it
money.
good? Is it bad
So
to
now he
be
can basically
hassling him in the chat?
Oh, that
God.
sucks.
Well,
Okay, we need to sit up a little more, Brindle. I need to get a little more engaged here.
Oh no.
like I need to
folks,
Oh,
I think we've just watched two Snake Eyes in the same turn give this game away at the last minute.
Ashley is full invest. Okay.
Oh my gosh, bottom of 6.
Got about turn 6, so it's once again going to come down to a coin flip for turn 7.
So
To
turn
see-
7, I think Tom still gets it though.
See, I would totally have just turned it, hugged the wall, and then ran away with the fire.
Well,
No,
he doesn't.
See, he can't though because
He gets hit by the mortars.
He gets hit by the mortar. So if he goes this way, he can't be attacked by anything, which means he's guaranteed
Well,
the 3 points.
except Basusu.
Sure, except Basusu.
And Basusu only needs to do a single wound. So personally,
test
I think he should have just gone for crossing the half and just doing this, right?
Then you
But-
get shot at though still.
You do, but I think there's a better chance of the mortars
Shot at by
missing
one.
than Basusu not wounding, right? Maybe?
Yeah. You get shot at by 1 mortar.
Yeah.
Which is
Um,
still enough, if it does.
Walk
And
anyway,
then
yeah.
the weakness
just walk on
casters.
anyway, yep.
The weakness casters.
Yep.
Oh, he's still across. Yeah, he didn't
he's
have to
still across.
turn. Okay.
No,
And
he's,
then he
he's not
pivots.
completely across, but he can get out of the line of sight of the mortars.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But he's got 7 wounds on him on a dash 13.
Dash 13.
unit?
Yeah.
So I'm curious to if the elemental could try to hit Basusan. I don't think it can.
I don't believe it. can.
I don't think it can. It's not nimble, so
Yeah, and it doesn't
Yeah.
have line of sight.
No.
and it's devastated, is it?
It is devastated. Yep.
Yeah.
So at this point, do you just drop the tokens behind you and
Drop the tokens behind you and attack the golems.
make them?
You force them to have to overrun.
Yeah.
You have
Yep.
to drop it within your base, though, right? So they have to overrun 2.
Within
basically.
contact with your base, so you can drop it behind you.
Oh, really? Okay. It's
Yeah.
just when you die that it's inside your
Yeah.
base.
right.
Okay.
Hang on, let
Right.
me double check. Drew,
pretty sure you can-
simply
you can
place sorry. It can drop the counters its token at the start of any move. Place the counters anywhere completely within the footprint of the unit. Okay.
Okay.
Never mind.
So
So
it
it
can
is-
still drop it on the back half of its base though, and make the golems have to walk forward. But I don't know.
So he was able to do the
Oh, I guess when he,
what?
I don't think you can see that unit, dude.
No, but he was facing
No, when
that way.
you back up the inch with your withdraw,
But remember, that
That's
was a
true.
flank charge.
Oh, it was a flank.
It was a flank
Oh,
charge,
shit, you're
remember?
right.
Oh, that's juicy.
Okay.
He was facing that way.
So if he can wound Basuzan,
Whew. And that'll sit Basuzan down, and then the golems won't be able to go over there. Or I guess the golems could pivot, pick up the tokens, and then try to get surged into those ancients. But
But you can't
couple
surge
of-
if he picks up the tokens.
that's true. You can't surge to pick up the tokens.
I
So
So
they either would have to pick up the tokens or surge.
I think Basuzan still can get the ancients anyway.
oh yeah, because she's
Um,
an individual. She can just back up and turn and charge.
Yeah,
Um,
and
so I'm guessing
even as it is
these-
now, I think he can still see them. But he just needs
Look
like
for a waiver.
some really clutch waiver or something,
Yep.
or assuming it is a turn 7, right?
So I'm guessing this ancient's troop over here is going to set the dragon down one more time.
Yeah.
If it can, which
I don't know if they
probably
can
should.
pivot far enough.
I don't know if they can either before bumping these guys. So yeah, Steven really, really, really just needs this game to end on this turn, and
Yeah.
he's got it.
Yeah. This is coming down to every single dice roll, isn't it?
Mike, I feel
It
like we
really
can take
is.
off the Snake Eyes banner.
Oh no, it's staying.
It was
For
Staying
this
clutch.
game.
forever? Okay.
That is the summary for this game. Snake Eyes.
Snake Eyes.
Feel
Let's
bad
define
because
this
Tom's
game.
going to come back and see the screen, and he's going to get flashbacks.
Yeah,
He
both
just like
of them
starts
will.
to stare off.
PTSD
Yeah.
for both of them, right there.
Oh, I think when I played him, he had some similar luck with bad dice. He rolled with it really well, though.
Yeah, and I think at this point, like if you're Steven, like okay, I've made it this far, I'm going down swinging. I'm going to check some stuff to make sure that I've covered all my bases as best I can. Right.
So do you think there's merit in just not bringing the tokens with you when you go to attack Bususu? Oh, I guess, yeah, because then if he does turn, he could turn and surge and he doesn't have to make the choice for the tokens.
Right.
I would have.
The other golems go straight in. If the fire elemental had the tokens on it, the golems with 5 wounds just charge the elemental and kill it.
That's true. And then just take them.
It appears that he dropped the tokens, but we can't be sure yet.
Yeah, sure.
But the way he's
Because
checking
honestly,
angles
I think it'd be
is
smart to bring him with him just to try to force him to roll for it. And just
Could
see
you
if there's
check
another
the
double one.
range on the Overmaster? Can the Overmaster charge the Ancients with 21-inch charge?
Doesn't look like it. No.
Right.
don't
Okay.
believe he can.
So then I think the smart move is for those Ancients that are on the hill to go into the golems with 5 tokens, and then you give the tokens to the Greater Fire Elemental.
So couldn't the Greater Fire Elemental also just run 12?
like take the token.
Not even pivot, just run 12.
10. You'd have to go 10 if you keep the tokens.
Oh, sorry, 10. Yeah, right. Speed 5.
Yeah.
And then I think
just
he would
said,
be
well,
out
there's
of
a-
arc, right?
There's
Well,
an
he'd
Iron
be-
Caster over here that he maybe
Oh, yeah.
bumped into.
He gets
like,
shot
Well,
at.
that's individual though, right?
We just charge it.
Oh, yeah.
Charge it and then overrun.
Yeah.
Well, it's the fact he's devastated, but he could potentially do a combo charge.
Four
Right,
four
but-
attacks.
But trying to
Yeah.
punch Basuzu is trying to protect the ancients that are holding the
So
other
he's-
3 tokens. On turn.
He does have the tokens on him. And then
Okay,
maybe the
so-
Ancients go into the golem. No, they're going into the dragon. Okay.
If they
No, I
can.
So he
Yeah.
could do the pivot then. He had it.
I wouldn't have gone.
Right. And I guess what he was checking with these golems over here was like, can they turn and charge me, or can they turn and surge easily to get around the building to get me, or am I protected? And I guess
And he
decided
might be
that-
hoping that if he reforms, I don't know what he's thinking. He's probably sweating bullets at the moment.
Dude,
But I
I,
An
guess-
absolute nervous wreck.
I'm a nervous wreck, and I'm not even playing.
so there's your attacks on Basuzu, and there's at least 1 wound, so Basuzu's not flying anywhere.
Yeah.
And doesn't get the Thunderous from coming off the hill
He wouldn't get it anyway.
For flying, yeah.
Yeah.
for flying. But yeah, but if he's
Oh,
if he's not
but
flying.
yeah, and I guess we'll have to see what happens here because it is it tall enough to
don't
block
know
Basuzu's
Can
line of
flying
sight?
units get Thunderous coming off the hill?
not
Height
when
five,
they're
so-
flying. No.
Yeah.
So the Greater Fire Elemental is height 5, so it will block Basuzu's line of sight, even though Basuzu's on the hill.
Yeah, nice, nice.
That might be
He
helpful.
just pivots 90 and he can see the Ancients the other way.
Possibly, yeah, but he's got to back up.
He's
and pivot
wavered
to
the
make-
dragon.
He would
again.
have to back up.
And
Yeah.
once again, another waiver on that.
The
that
ancient-
Overmaster.
yeah, the Rhino Cav has wavered the Overmaster, which
Good job.
I don't know. Yeah, well
Or
done.
the Ancients.
Roll for turn 7.
And
Oh,
that
they
is a
got
turn 7 roll.
Oh,
That is a turn 7.
That's another coin. That is another coin toss.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bummer.
I think Tom might talk about luck, but it's look, in the context of the game, it has been a lot of coin flips that have come up heads.
It really has. It really, really has.
So how's he
All
going
right.
to do this?
Yeah,
Again,
he's
it's
gotta
just going to
figure
come down
something
to his shooting. If his shooting hits, he wins, and if it doesn't, he loses, which is what we said at, when we we're doing the overview of the deployment. If
It's
the dice
also
are
if
hot,
Basusu can do a wound,
out. Sure.
then it's really bad.
Yeah. So do you put your faith in your hex casters to walk forward enough to see them, or is it just Basuzu? Is it really just down to Basuzu? Because I don't know that they can walk forward enough.
I don't think they can with speed 4. They might be able to see the back half of him.
Maybe.
Yeah, if he goes at a 45 angle to the right, I think he'd have it.
Because they still have to kill the greater fire elemental, although the golems should make short work of that.
Yeah.
Right, because he is all the way on their side of the table, so that is 4 points right now. And turn around and get ready to get surged, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that'll be a
Now
2
that's
surge,
interesting.
apparently.
Do they block line of sight? Oh no, not after the surging. They won't block line of sight.
Well, this game has definitely turned out to be more exciting here at the end than I thought it was going to be from the first couple of turns. So I will give.
It's
I will
because
give
Chavez
Steven-
left.
Wow.
Right. We should tell Alex, like, as soon as you left, it totally got interesting. So I will
Yeah.
definitely give Steven all points for sticking with it and fighting all the way through this thing. And
Yeah,
definitely
his
making it
movement,
difficult and interesting.
Well, the list design was a big part of it too. Just having so much stuff that's a threat. Like none of the stuff was pure chaff. It's only there to be a speed bump. Everything hurt. What's this?
It's probably
Ironcaster. Healing?
Is that the regen roll on the Overmaster, probably?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, right. Bunch of wounds come off.
Yep.
It's pretty handy. Not that I think it's completely immaterial at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're going to stay on the flank there. The other horde of Obsidian Golems was down the flank of those ancients.
Now this is the question, because Bazusu is slightly clipping the corner of... Well, this would be interesting to see if Stephen pulls him up on this one. Didn't. Okay.
All right.
With
All right,
the
so-
3 pivots or 2 pivots that he has, I'm sure he could.
Yeah. As long as
Yeah.
line of sight was...
Yeah.
All right, so is Basuzu
what's
going to be a hero here, or here comes the surge?
7 attacks hitting on 3 with crushing 2. Let's look at the math.
And Vicious,
So
or they
threes
got
and
rid of
fours.
Vicious, right,
We've
Mike?
done that
No
vicious, so 3s and 4s. 7 attacks on 3s and 4s ought to be able to power 1 through.
He should be able to do at least 1 or 2 wounds. Yeah.
So one of the
19
reasons
cast,
I like the Ancients trying to go with the Elemental is he gets Inspiring at least.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here comes the
2
weakness
wounds?
rolls. I think that's just 1 because they're defense 6.
All he
Yeah.
needed.
1 wound.
But that's in casting, not in combat.
That's
Oh.
a weakness.
Oh, so that's still a wound though.
Yeah, it's still a wound.
Still a wound. Still makes
I think
Basuzu's job a little
they're-
bit easier.
They're at a 4 twice so far.
Combat.
7. No, they're not at a 4. They're dash 13, and they have 7 wounds. So they're currently at a 6 because it was closer last time because of shattering because they got shot by the board.
Mm-hmm.
So that basically just brought it down to the same thing it was last time.
Yeah, that's dead. Take the tokens. Okay.
Yeah, just snake it. You're gonna do 1, and walk forward 2, which will not get you over the line. So you still have to kill those.
You have to
ancients.
kill these ancients.
Oh, I'm
And
so nervous.
100% must kill these ancients. All right, Basuzu, it's your time to shine. Or is Tom going to do this other combat over that doesn't matter so much first? He is. Going to save it for last.
See, because I don't. Yeah.
And that 9 will certainly pick them up. Okay. So
Okay.
Stephen is down to a single unit left on the table. And there's
That
Basuzu's roll. There's
has
only
8
3
wounds on
hits.
That's 3 wounds though.
3 wounds
Oh,
though.
yes.
Yeah,
That's 3 wounds. So looking for
that's
snakes.
a 1 in 4
Twice.
chance of getting 3 wounds.
Yep.
The ones, yeah. Once,
There's a 10,
twice.
and a that is going to be the end of the game, folks.
Well, it doesn't get much closer than that, does it?
It's
Coming down to the last die roll. Yep.
Yeah.
And that also tables Stephen, I believe.
Yeah, so +5 kill, but only +2 for scenario. And Steven killed a decent amount by the end, I think, too, or it's hard to
they're
tell.
jumping in. All right, let's check on Stephen's mental state. He may need a wellness check after this.
I'm like sad for Steven.
Because
like
the good guy lost.
Whoa.
Because the
No
queen
place.
won.
The guy who had the difficult thing, because Tom just moved forward and just shot at stuff. Like there was not a lot of movement.
So the thing I really want to see Elliot do though is the statistic for the win rate of people that went first in push this
That'd
round.
be
Sure.
cool.
That's because someone, I think it was Alaric or someone brought it up on Facebook, but that's a really good idea to have in this one.
Yeah.
Hi, Steven.
Hey, guys.
Hello, Stephen.
Hello.
And before
You
Tom
want to
gets
start
here,
drinking now?
dude, that was amazing. I feel so bad for you. That was fucking incredible, man.
That was like
thank
we.
you.
It was.
I gave
I was
it a
at the
go.
edge of my seat. Look at this dirty player over here.
You don't mean that.
We love you,
All
Tom.
She
right.
doesn't mean that.
I mean it a little bit.
That
So-
was a lot more
Now,
interesting than I thought it was
is
gonna
that
be.
is it hot where you are, Tom, or are you just under a lot of stress for some reason?
No, that's stress. Right there.
Because all of the stress was on Tom, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we were sweating over here watching it. That was several like big snake eyes rolls that just turned the game back and forth. And after the first couple of rounds, it seemed like it was going to be very one-sided.
Right.
But then it got really interesting in the second half of the game there and turned into a real nail biter. So thanks so much for letting us watch that game, guys. That was big. That was an excellent game. Thank you both.
Thanks.
Yeah.
What questions do we have for these guys? We had some that we jotted down along the way, right?
Yeah, I think Taz took some notes.
Yeah, I had some. So Stephen, the
Yes.
greater fire elemental doing the breath attack in that early combat, was that? Did you mean not to charge? Did you mean to always charge breath the Black Souls?
That was outside of 12, I believe, by a fraction.
Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah, so it was 12.1 or something like that. So he couldn't get the charge.
Yep.
I think that's the one you mean.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was like turn 2 or 3, I think. It was very
Yeah.
early.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have loved to charge in with more things, but Tom was very, very good at keeping things just out of range.
He was. So Tom, it seemed like the mortars were kind of on fire there at the very beginning of the game, and then kind of cooled off a little bit. Did you have to change your strategy at any point? Were you planning on basically just castling up and shooting, and then you felt like you had to move out, or how'd that go?
Well, I mean, like with any war machines, they hit the first turn, which is the biggest thing you want with them. So they hit 3 times the first turn. They only hit once the second turn, but it was against the Rhinosaur horde, and got the shattering, pushed it just over to a break. So that was good. And then they hit 0 and then once the rest of the games.
You did 15 wounds the first round, 16 wounds the second with shooting, and then 7 wounds the third. That's when it really started to smooth out a bit.
Yeah. I figured out, when I saw him going with that ancient troop, which, I couldn't see with any of my shooting early, I realized that I was in danger of losing the game, and I needed to get forward, because he kept tying up my decimator forward, which is the problem if you double stack, stack your lines and put the push tokens on the unit behind, especially if it's speed 4, you might not get across. So.
You have another one? Do we have any other questions?
The
At some point,
Golem
we-
Reef. The golem
Right.
reforms is an interesting one. When you did the surge into he sent one of his Rhino Cav screen units into one of your golems, and then you flanked it with the golem. And then we noticed that really caused you a lot of issues with your reforming, Tom. Was there ever any consideration of not flanking it, or was just like clear it out first and then think of things later?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that crystal pendant unit is the thing that blocked me up. I was thinking, I'd get out of it soon enough, and so it would be okay if I blocked myself up for a turn. But yeah, no, it did cause me some issues. So.
And there were several big turns to that game. A lot of them in the second half of the game seemed to be due to Snake Eyes, but I think when the Clan Lord on Fire Drake died to like a double 9 or double 10 nerve roll, that was a pretty big swing early on. So
that's what I was
Stephen,
feeling the worst for Stephen.
Yeah. So like how badly did that mess up your plan, Stephen? Because it seemed like after that, like you took a couple minutes. Did you have to basically like reevaluate your whole plan at that point, having lost him a turn before you thought you might?
Yeah, so I knew that I had to be efficient with the units that I had left. They had to do work, and losing the Fire Drake meant that I had to just think about rerouting the Ancients on Rhinosaurs and working out the best way to block up Basusu and protect the Ancient troops. It was just hanging out for turn 6, just trying to delay things as much as possible. But I think the bigger thing before that was the battle captain not doing a wound to the Overmaster. So he was able to just fly over, and I think that's what ended up killing the Fire Drake. So if I'd done one wound there, that Overmaster probably would have been out for 1 or 2 turns.
And that's probably a good thing, because not a good thing, a good segue into the coin toss decisions, because a hindered battle captain into a defense 5 unit, that's a 50-50 chance on the maths of doing a single wound. So losing that is not, an egregious sort of injustice, but it was sort of on top of the first turn thing. Like sort of, there are a lot of coin flip decisions all throughout this game. There were some big spikes. Some went Stephen's way and some went Tom's way, but it was the coin toss decisions all sort of going one way really made this tough. But gosh, it was an entertaining game to watch, I tell you what.
No offense to Tom, but by turn 3 we were all pulling for Stephen, and when it kind of started going back his way, like we all got it was super exciting. It was super exciting for like everybody on the
we were like
on the comments.
The Ancients were the good guys. Everyone wants them to get away with it. Go. And then there's the thick chaff just being extra thick. That was great.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just kept wavering the Overmaster. We were like, do it again, hit him again. Don't die yet.
I was feeling bad and not giving everyone a good game to watch, and then I'm happy. I'm happy it turned out like that. So it's great.
That was a good game. Tom played really well with a really great list. So credit to him. He did what he needed to do.
Cool. Any other questions from the panelists?
I was just going through my things we've talked about. The Clan Lord going into the Gargoyles was an interesting one. Did you think, Stephen, about countercharging Basusu with the Clan Lord instead of going into the flank of the Gargoyles? I mean, obviously you did think of that, but... Yeah.
So my thought there was if I can get... So even if... So they're going to likely kill the Gargoyles, which will then free up the Ark. So Basusu won't be able to clog him up again. That's obviously taking the risk with the battle captain then delaying the Overmaster. So there's a few things that needed to fall into place, but the idea was so Basusu could probably tank my Clan Lord for at least a couple of turns, which are the crucial ones. Given that I'm the one that needs to get into Tom, he's just going to keep backing up if I let him. I needed to force the issue with the Clan Lord. Okay. And I got a question for Tom too. So at the beginning, were you aiming to sort of get the victory by 2 or 3 points, or was there a plan for getting the points over the board? Like the Decimators, I guess, just slowly walking forward and getting over halfway was your... Yeah, I was thinking I could eventually charge with them and get a good overrun. Like I think I did get a 6-inch overrun, which was huge. It didn't end up mattering, but that was kind of my plan. Sure. Especially once the shooting was so effective the first 2 turns, I was thinking I might just be able to walk through. Yeah. Okay.
But that's how I always play, is just win by one and then see what happens.
Fair enough.
Well, it was
All
a
right,
very
guys.
exciting game.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for letting us watch over your shoulders while you played. That like as you said, it was a very exciting game. It really came down to the wire. It was a real nail biter. So congrats to Tom on that win, and our condolences, Stephen. You gave him a hell of a fight.
Oh, that's right.
Um,
Came down for 50-50, so that's what you can ask for, right?
Yeah.
On that turn 6 or 7.
Yep.
Yeah, that dice roll going in Tom's favor for turn 7 was like, oh, Stephen.
Those games are always the most fun to watch too. When every single turn felt like it was coming down to like, okay, does this thing die? Does this thing die? Does this thing die? Every single thing is like deciding the game.
Yeah.
So you guys couldn't have come any closer than that. Seems like, but
So coming up tomorrow morning, I think. Yeah, tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will have Mark Cunningham versus Devlin Smith in our 5th and final match of the weekend. And we've got a couple more matches lined up for next week for you.
Do you have like a
so-
bleep button for the Cunningham Smith game?
Nope, this is just live TV, man. We're just gonna.
Oh.
All I can do is mute him.
I'll be
All I can
back
do
in the
is-
morning. So.
all-
he's
all I
only
can do
on
is,
for
like,
5
put up a
minutes
little,
before, right?
I can put up a little not safe for work banner at the bottom. or something.
Just don't zoom in on his units. That's my
There you go.
advice.
Yeah,
Don't
sure.
zoom in.
We'll zoom in on. So yeah, be sure to check us out for that. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. I'd like to thank the players for letting us check out the game. I'd like to thank Taz and Ashley and Brinley and Alex Chavez for commentating on the game and hanging out with me for this. Guys, once again, that was an outstanding game. Thanks so much for that. To everybody out there watching, you guys stay safe out there, and we will see you next time on Dash 28 Live.